3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Perloff was hanging out with Seth Rogen's mom in Europe.
And I actually
didn't even know it.
I didn't even know it.
Wait, what should we email Seth Rogen's mom? Can we do this all as a show? Can we have her?
Is that your Seth Rogen impression?
Sound like Beavis and Butthead. So we have to figure out, what do we want to write to Seth Rogen?
Let's ask Seth to come on the show and talk to the Weekdays.
He would be like their Pied Piper.
She's going to get him to do a cameo. That's what's going to end up happening.
Where are we going to pay? What a deal. Way to know people in high places.
She gets a 25% off discount.
I know what the cameo would say. Be, hey, I heard you were on a cruise with my mom. Cool.
And that costs $600.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Got the team that's going to stop Georgia from a three-peat. You heard it here first. Hey, welcome to Maggie and Perloff. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff across the country. CBS Sports Radio. It's something that hasn't been done since the 1930s. And it was the Minnesota Gophers that did it. And it's not going to happen with Georgia this year. Now, to be fair to Georgia, easy schedule. Lots of guys coming back. strong team, Perloff.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we've been waiting for the next Minnesota for decades.
I know. Why have we been robbed of this?
Okay. I'm not so sure they're not going to do it. But my question is, if not them, then who?
Well, we both have the team that's going to get it done. And I'm sure we're in lockstep agreement on this. The team that is going to stop Georgia from its three-peat, in my opinion, is Ohio State. And I know that's maybe not the first team that people are thinking of because there are some questions at the quarterback position. Obviously, Ohio State hasn't even beaten Michigan, their biggest rival in the last 2 years. But I go back to Ohio State giving Georgia the game of its life last year in the college football semifinal. 42-41 with Ohio State leading going into the fourth quarter, and it took a furious Georgia comeback for them to win their back-to-back national titles. I know that there's questions at the quarterback position, but in Ohio State's case, Perloff, I'm looking at Kyle McCord, who won the job and has been in the program and is dependable. And if Devin Brown is going to be right there, well, then if anything happens to McCord, you've got an obvious backup who can go in and win you games. Why I like Ohio State and where I think Georgia and even Michigan may fall into a little bit of a trap here is at least they play people. You know, Michigan doesn't play anybody until Ohio State. Georgia doesn't play anybody at all until the SEC championship game, I guess. At least for Ohio State, they have to play Notre Dame, they have to play Penn State, Wisconsin, and then Michigan.
Yeah, I hear you. That's a good theory, except that it seems like an easy schedule is a great way to get into the Final Four. It's kind of worked for Georgia 2 years in a row. Also, Michigan does have Penn State as well.
Sorry, and Penn State for Michigan.
Yeah.
Pardon me.
So both Ohio State and Penn State have Michigan. I'm not as so sold that Georgia's not going to three-peat, but I'll tell you, you have the wrong team. Who's going to knock them off?
Well, who is it?
It's not going to be number 2 Michigan because Jim Harbaugh is insane. That's my only theory as to why.
He's standing in their way.
There's too many question marks with Ohio State. 1 being the quarterback, 2 being their defense. Show me, can you keep anybody under 40 points? So I think we are way, way, way too eager to dismiss Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Yeah, speaking of quarterback questions.
Yeah, but okay.
At least Ohio State actually named a starter.
You're right. I should have said quarterback questions because there are so many occasions in the last several years where the week 1 starter did not end up winning the title. We see this in college football all the time. Here is my theory on Alabama.
What's that?
They had the best quarterback in the country the last 2 years, Bryce Young. They didn't win anything. They got so far away from their identity under Nick Saban. They were this fancy pants, spread the field, throw for 1,000,000 yards, hope that their quarterback saves the day. That's not Nick Saban football. That's not in his DNA. That's not what he did at Michigan State and LSU. He wants to run the football and play defense. That is Nick Saban football. And they got the wrong offensive coordinator out. Bill O'Brien, he might be an improvement for the Patriots.
Yeah.
He was not working for Alabama. He did not know how to call a winning game. Now, Tommy Rees is a little bit of an unproven guy. But Alabama,
total unknown for Alabama.
For Alabama, yeah. And he wasn't exactly lighting up the sky for Notre Dame. But I think Nick Saban wants him to be conservative. And then they're going to win with that really awesome offensive line. Their defense is, like always, loaded with studs. And here's the thing about them last year. They lost 2 games, but I think they were both on the road. So they have all their key games at home this year. Really tough one, week 2. Texas, but it's in Tuscaloosa. They have Tennessee, who gave them so much trouble last year, in Tuscaloosa. LSU in Tuscaloosa. So I'm hoping, for the sake of this argument, that the home field reverses what happened last year, and they were so darn close. So I don't see more than 1 loss heading into the SEC title game. It might be Texas in week 2. I'm not ruling that out at all. I really like Texas. But I think with this schedule, they can get out with 1 loss. They get to the SEC title game, even with 2 losses, I think Alabama could possibly get the nod over a 1-loss team. So they have a great path to the Final Four. Then that's when vengeance kicks in. They're tired of getting beat up by Georgia, and I think they have a great chance right there. I also like Ohio State and Michigan. Obviously, they're stacked. But for some reason, I feel like that Michigan and Ohio State, when it gets to a playoff, are just not going to be as tough as the SEC teams.
Listen, I know the Big Ten has been like 1-7, I think, in the college football playoff since Ohio State won it. But here's the thing. I'm looking at Alabama, and I'm not writing any eulogies for Alabama. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I just read this stat, and I wanted to bring it to your attention.
Please.
The last 2 seasons, Alabama has had 11 games where they either lost or won by only a touchdown, like 1 score or less, okay? A touchdown or less or outright loss. 2 seasons, 11 games. In the previous 5 seasons before that, they had 11 of those games total.
Yeah, it's time to get back to that.
It's different. But
time
here's
to
the
get
thing.
back to that.
You want to get back to that. I don't know if there is any coming back from that in terms of playing a different style. Like in the SEC, maybe, but look at what's happened, Perloff. It is a scoring league, you know? And even Georgia, who's had this amazing defense, who sent guys to the NFL in droves, still gave up 41 points to Ohio State last year. Like, these offenses are just not going to be stopped.
Well, that's why, what's the best way to stop them? Hold on to the ball. Maybe have a quarterback, if Jalen Milroe gets a job, who's going to run for the first down every time on 3rd down.
Yeah.
That's the best chance you have in this conference to slow down the other offense is to run the ball. The most effective defensive tool is a run game. Always has been. It works in the NFL. It works even more so for college. I'm sorry. First of all, the receivers have not stepped up in Alabama. We were so used to having 3 first-rounders in that receiver room. That is not the case anymore. So I think they're going to be a contrarian team, and I think it's going to be really interesting. Because how do you stop Tennessee? You're not going to stop Tennessee's offense. You have to slow down the game. LSU is pretty explosive this year, too. How are they going to stop them? Texas could be just loaded on offense.
LSU has dudes on defense, too.
They have to. They definitely have to ball control. Yeah, they have a Harold Perkins. You're not going to want to drop back and pass against that guy. You're going to want to run and control the game.
Well,
and also Alabama probably, except for Georgia, will have an advantage on the lines.
I'm glad that you mentioned being able to run the ball because Ohio State can do that, too. Because they do have Travion Henderson. They've got Mayan Williams. You know what you're getting with these guys. And then if you do want an explosive wide receiver, well, Marvin Harrison Jr. is likely going to be a top 5 pick next year. So
you might have 2 top 5 picks.
Yeah. Amika Egbuka, you are in my head on this one. I know.
Yeah, but you might. And by the way,
to him because we butcher his name every time.
You also brought in the 2 top recruits who were also first-round picks. The guy who tortured Bishop Sycamore in that documentary, Carnell Tate, is coming to Ohio State. He's ridiculous. But who's throwing to these guys, Maggie? You might have the best receiving core, running back core in the league, in the nation.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that enough when you cannot ever stop anybody on defense? Anyone. They give up more explosive plays than any team in the country almost.
Okay, you've got Tommy Eichenberg coming back. You've got Steele Chambers. I know you guys were losing it yesterday over a guy named Steele. Someone else. You got great linebackers. So I'm going to have to say, and if Ohio State having a good defensive line, of course they are. So I'm feeling good.
No, they're not. Look at the numbers on them last year.
I know. Knowles did not have a good season as a defensive coordinator. Got to learn a lot of lessons here. So I think Ohio State is a team that will keep Georgia from a three-peat. Perloff says it's Alabama. What do you say? 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227.
How are they going to get past Michigan this year? This is the best Michigan team ever. They have their quarterback coming back. There are 2 running backs who were better than the Ohio State running backs. They go 20 deep in draftable players, and they've beaten a really, really good Ohio State team.
Then why aren't you picking Michigan?
Well, because
you already
honestly,
said because Jim Harbaugh is nuts. I don't think it's because he's nuts. I just think there's so much pressure on them right now.
There's something exactly. I think there's something just a little bit off. The way Jim Harbaugh was talking about his suspension the other day. That's a great pressure or intensity. I'm not sure they can keep this up under Jim Harbaugh. I don't see it happening in my mind's eye. Seeing them beat 2 SEC teams in the Final Four, can't see it.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, so who did we forget? Who did we pick instead? Or are we right on?
Did you think about USC here?
I did not.
Yeah.
As much as I do I love watching Caleb Williams play, and I hope he doesn't go to like a disaster of an NFL team that like potentially ruins him, because I want to keep watching him play for a long time. But I just think the defense, just can't trust him. Yeah.
And the other one, by the way, I did give a little flirtation. I looked at LSU.
Yeah, so did I.
I just think that this is based on nothing, but Brian Kelly might might need more time to build a real legit champion. 2 years in, does he really have the team he wants? That's a tall order.
He overachieved last year.
Yes and no. I mean,
Oh my gosh, they made it to the SEC championship game. He definitely did.
Yeah, he's a really, really good coach. But are they, are you talking about a talent level that's right there with Alabama and Georgia? I'm not sure yet.
Well, I hope so, because I chose Jaden Daniels as the number 1 pick in my SEC quarterback draft that we had.
Love it.
And I'm looking forward to big things.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I want to win that league.
Why did both you and I pick Alabama quarterbacks?
Well, because we're morons. That's why.
Yeah, I love it that you're like, I should have taken that Vandy quarterback. Can't remember his name, but I should have taken him.
Yeah, big regret. 855-212-4CBS, yes.
I'm so mad that Stu got Carson back, too.
Well, I mean, he picked before you.
No, I picked first. I picked Joe Milton. I was going to get Carson back. That's my 2 Heisman finalists. I love both those guys, the Tennessee quarterback and the Georgia quarterback. So my number 2 pick is like a 3rd string on Alabama now.
Listen, it's you got to take a risk sometime in life. 855-212-4CBS. Yes, we did a SEC quarterback draft before this about a month ago, and we'll be updating those on Mondays here on the Maggie and Perloff show.
Yeah. Do you remember? Mike, you got to pull out the team. I have no idea who my 4 quarterbacks are.
No, I have a photo of it. I took a photo on my phone. We'll update everybody on the other side.
Yeah, let me know. Update me.
I thought this was the team that you're like ride or dying with. No?
Well, I know I have Joe Milton, and I don't even really need 3 other quarterbacks.
I got it right here if you want it now.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so Maggie, you've got Jaden Daniels, Connor Wegman, Spencer Rattler, and Ty Simpson.
Oh, that's good.
And when we asked people who had the best team, a lot leaned towards Maggie as the best.
Well, I thought that's when Simpson really had a shot to win the job. I don't know now.
Yeah. Perloff, you have Joe Milton, Will Rogers, Jackson Dart, and Tyler Buckner.
Will Rogers is awesome.
Yeah. And Joe Milton's going to be fantastic.
Joe Milton's fantastic.
Yeah. I got KJ Jefferson, Spencer Sanders, Jalen Milroe, which we still have no real idea what's going to happen there, and Brady Cook.
And what about Stu?
Stu is Devin Leary, Carson Beck, Peyton Thorne, and Graham Mertz. Lots of backup quarterbacks and unknowns here.
Stu's somewhere over the Grand Canyon right now. Is he on a mule or something going down to the Grand Canyon?
No, he did that skywalk. He said it was a very long wait, but he got to. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen it. It's like a big little semicircle that juts out over the Grand Canyon, and you can look all the way down. And they have like a glass floor, so you can actually look straight down. Which no, thank you.
Eve, I hate that stuff. Wait, how did I end up picking Jackson Dart? What happened?
Instagrammer's dream.
What was
Jackson Dart was the 11th overall pick. Right after I selected Jalen Milroe.
Then who is after him? Because I don't like this.
Peyton Thorne, Graham Mertz, Tyler Buckner, Brady Cook, and Ty Simpson.
Okay, so there's a lot of question marks by it. Did anyone take Spencer Sanders?
That's me.
Oh, okay.
I took Spencer Sanders 7.
Oh, man. Oh, so you took him 7? Okay, because they haven't named
What are you, trying to concoct some kind of trade or something? I mean, what are you,
Dart and Sanders are still competing in Ole Miss. I read this the other day. So I feel like we should be able to redraft if we didn't get a starter.
No, definitely not.
Well,
we knew this at the time when we all took Alabama.
You might have a bench guy. You have incentive here to get into a redraft situation.
Well, what do you mean she might have a bench guy? Ty Simpson is probably most likely a bench guy.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's a decision I made in the moment, and I got to live with it now. It's called consequences.
Yeah, I mean, who was the last couple picks? I mean, those guys aren't doing anything.
Perloff, you might actually have 2 bench guys between Jackson Dart and Tyler Buckner.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're screwed.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. The question is, who's going to keep Georgia from three-peating? I say Ohio State. Perloff says Alabama. What about you? Again, 855-212-4CBS. You want to watch the show? Come on in to the YouTube chat and say what's up to the Weedos and the Purple Drinkers. YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio is where you can find us, where Bendozo has said, I think we're reaching diminishing returns on the whiteboard. If you're watching on YouTube, it's days since Maggie has had a Bills meltdown, but Samter wrote the number of days all over the board, and it looks like 9 Maggie 9. So 9 days.
Why is it a point of diminishing return?
I don't know, because it says 9 Maggie 9 on it.
Well, I'm going to have to put them all over just to make sure the camera's caught at least one of the 9s.
Also, the Let's Go Jets in the corner is cute. But that's not going to get me. I'm not going to fall for that kind of bait.
I didn't do that. That wasn't me.
Sure.
That's not my handwriting. I mean, I'll show you my handwriting. My handwriting is the big giant
All right,
days.
Samter. No, you're not getting out of it now. You definitely wrote, let's go Jets, thinking it was going to bait me into a meltdown, and it's not going to happen.
On the puppy. That was not me.
Carlos?
No, my
E2?
handwriting is worse than a doctor's. You wouldn't even be able to read it.
It's one of the other shows.
Perloff?
No, definitely not me.
Hold on. Maggie, you're wearing green. You definitely wrote it as a self-owned.
Me? Yeah, I know. I put it up there. What, to throw you guys off the scent?
More of an Eagles green.
Yeah.
Maggie, I don't even know who
Kelly.
you are.
I didn't have much to wear today. I just kind of grabbed it and left. I'm not thinking that much about my outfits, guys. Okay. 855-212-4CBS. Who is going to keep Georgia from a three-peat? Again, I say Ohio State. Perloff says Alabama. Coming up, the wild trade request in the NFL that had us all shaking our heads. We'll get to that in a moment. You're listening and watching the Maggie and Perloff Show on CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining.
This is Maggie Gray with a CBS Sports Minute. This is Maggie Gray with an Odyssey Sports Minute. Sports history is set to be made on Wednesday in Lincoln, Nebraska. The Cornhuskers women's volleyball team is hosting in-state rival Omaha, and the match could be the most watched women's sporting event of all time. One minute, 30 seconds remaining.
minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, driving under the influence of marijuana is illegal, and law enforcement officers can tell you if you're driving high. If you feel different, you drive different. Drive high, you get a DUI paid for by NHTSA. So, Carlos usually drops a musical theme on us.
Yeah, this is a good one. We were just talking
What
about
do you know what the theme is?
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, step by step.
So what's the theme?
No. It's we just did this the other day when
So
you were. It's a TV theme song. It's Days Go. It's Family Matters. No.
So wait, what's
You're
the theme?
so close.
Is it just TV theme song?
Well, so Maggie got the theme right. It is 90s TVs that we're
Yeah.
doing today.
This isn't.
Oh wait, everywhere you look.
This isn't Family Matters.
No.
Growing Pains?
Maggie was closer.
Full House?
Full House.
Full
there
House.
you go.
What I say? Step by step. Full House. Of course, Full House.
So, Carlos,
that's
you know
gonna
what
bother
happened?
me
Do you know the
forever.
background of this?
So I never saw the show. It was slightly out of demographic. I know it was Bob Saget's character.
No, that's not what
that.
he's talking about. Not the plot.
So we did a whole TV theme quiz the other day.
Yeah, and I won
Oh, really?
with Growing Pains. I knew that one.
Yes. So because I was on a cruise ship and we're on vacation and they did a TV theme and I got one wrong. I said the Growing Pains theme was the Full House theme and that was the only one out of 12 I got wrong.
I'm sorry. I have to go like crawl into a cave now because I didn't get that. I know Full House forwards and backwards. I'm going to be great at this game, by the way. So tee him up, Carlos.
All right, well, so far you're 0 for 1.
I know. That's not good. But long season. Okay. This was a little bit wild when it came to some details, Perloff, that emerged after there were some teams that were interested in trading for Jonathan Taylor of the Indianapolis Colts. Now, we know now he's staying with the team. He's on the PUP list, so he's not going to play the first 4 games. But it was pretty wild when we found out the details.
Well, there's 2 reports.
Yeah.
One that the Packers were in on this. Packers often get linked to trades after they didn't happen, but they already have Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, 2 really good running backs.
Yeah, so let's pause on that for a second. Why would they want Jonathan Taylor?
Yeah, that I think people are dubious of that. I don't know. Maybe to help Jordan Love. That's the key. They haven't paid Jordan Love yet, so they can afford Jonathan Taylor, but it didn't make any sense. So that one was weird. But the one that I think was really catching a lot of fire is that reportedly the Colts asked for Jalen Waddle straight up or in some package for Jonathan Taylor and the Colts. Now, what does it say to you? Because can I go Machiavellian Maggie here for a second?
Oh, yeah.
That is obviously the Colts are saying, you know what? We're going to put out some trade offers. We know everyone's going to say no because they're going to be ridiculous. And then we can hold that over your head in the contract negotiation. Because Jonathan Taylor wants more money. The Colts don't want to pay him. So they said, all right, well, go out on the trade market, see what you can get. Now they can say, look, you didn't get anything. You're not worth anything. We don't have to pay you. So take this $5 million a year contract. So they were sort of manipulating this. Is the theory out there? And I kind of buy it.
Yeah, I like that theory. Machiavellian Maggie approves of that. It's an invitation. Like I don't think you're actually trying to trade in good faith when you're like, I've got Jonathan Taylor for you. And they're like, well, we want Jalen Waddle. It's like, well, they're not, the Dolphins aren't trading Jalen Waddle. You know that.
That's like Bruce in my fantasy leagues.
Oh, Bruce with one eye?
Bruce with one eye was the guy who would make insane trade offers again and again and again. He'd be like, all right, well, why don't you give me Lamar Jackson and I will give you Jay Cutler or something, I don't know, or some like middle of the road guy. And he used to carpet bomb the whole league again and again with all these bad trade requests. And eventually somebody would be at a weak moment and say yes.
What?
Yeah, Bruce was when I was devious.
Oh my God.
A lot of fantasy leagues have that. There's nothing more annoying than the terrible trade offer.
I know, but you can't give in to that person. You got to shun that person. You got to make fun of them. You got to make it known that what they're doing is not acceptable.
So is the NFL going to do that to Colts GM Chris Ballard because he tried to get Jalen Waddle for Jonathan Taylor?
No, the public is doing that because I think all of us looked at that and said, wait a minute, there's no shot that's going to happen.
Right. And by the way, Jonathan Taylor is a very good player. And,
it's not about that.
Yeah, it's about there's just no way the value in today's NFL for a running back is anywhere near the value of a star wide receiver.
Also, what helps Miami's offense more? It's Jalen Waddle more than Jonathan Taylor would. Again, I think that Miami's going to be able to run the ball regardless. I don't know if they need an all-world running back. I think having someone to take a little of the pressure off of Tyreek Hill makes them impossible to guard.
Totally. But they were looking at running back, so at least they're in the discussion. I do think the Colts and the Dolphins talked, and I think there was a thought with Dalvin Cook as well that the Dolphins might get him. But I don't know what who he's trying to fool here. I feel like there's no way can Jonathan Taylor ever be a Colt again? Because if he's trying to send this message, hey, you're not worth that much, then stay here for less money. First of all, he's on the PUP list, so he can't play till week 5. I just don't see Taylor ever getting on the same page with the Colts, so I'm not sure what Ballard's trying to achieve here.
Well, he might spin it to Jonathan Taylor and be like, listen, I asked for Jalen Waddle because I think that would be a fair trade. And then Jonathan Taylor's ego maybe gets stroked a little bit, like you're on the same level as Jalen Waddle.
Well, Jalen Waddle's next contract is going to be $20 million a year, so Taylor's going to be like, if you view me like that, then pay me $15. So I don't think Ballard can do that. There seems like there's all sorts of mental games here. And let's face it, I'm a fan of Jim Irsay. He just seems very eccentric. He has a lot of rock memorabilia. Yeah. But I don't think there's a lot of rhyme or reason with whatever's going on here this offseason.
You think? They're one of the most dysfunctional franchises in the league now. The Jeff Saturday thing put it over the top. And now to be like in this kind of dispute with Jonathan Taylor, yikes. The only thing that can save them is Anthony Richardson just being really exciting.
I disagree with Jonathan. Our team is in a conflict with a running back. You're going to rule out half the league if you say that shows dysfunction. Are the Giants dysfunctional? Were the Vikings dysfunctional?
The Giants were dysfunctional for a long time.
They'd be dysfunctional. They were dysfunctional to pay.
Yeah, and what happened? Saquon Barkley showed up the first day. He showed up the day early. He showed up on time. He didn't drag it out. So, no, the Giants aren't dysfunctional. I mean, listen, the Raiders. No, I'm not saying it's like a negative necessarily on your team when you're having a contract dispute. Like, I don't think the Chiefs are dysfunctional, and they're obviously having a contract dispute with Chris Jones.
Great point.
I think the 49ers may have a little dysfunction. Clearly, things got a little messy there with the quarterback stuff, but it's just how public do things get. How public, what kind of animus is there? Like, how much animosity is there? And Jim Irsay put it all out on Twitter where he's arguing back and forth with Jonathan Taylor's agent. It's like, come on.
That was stupid. But the truth is, running backs have been messy everywhere. They had a stupid Zoom call to figure out how to get teams to pay them more. Austin Eckler's been out on social media. So I can't rip the Colts for this. Not for the way they've handled Jonathan Taylor. There's no easy way to handle this position because they are not getting paid anything, and they're unhappy about it.
I thought the Colts asking for Waddle was like kind of interesting. Like, obviously, the Miami Dolphins weren't going to say yes to that. I thought the Packers part of this was quite interesting.
Why? I mean, you believe it?
Well, okay, let's go on the premise that it is true.
All the Packers report are like, oh, here's another trade the Packers were quote unquote linked to. But okay, let's say it is true.
But I don't understand why the Packers after the fact would want to come out and say that. You have two really good running backs in your room.
Yeah, I'm assuming somebody's up for a contract and they want to leverage them.
Maybe.
They just paid Aaron Jones, I know, but I think they have to pay Dylan. So when in doubt, what's the reason? There's only one reason anybody does anything in this league.
Yeah, about money.
It's money. So maybe that. Maybe what about, is it because they don't have faith in Jordan Love? How about we go there?
Okay, you don't have faith. Say they don't have faith in Jordan Love and they're getting a little cold feet like, oh no, we're getting in the season with Jordan Love. You have two backs. Do you need a third one? Are you running the Wildcat? Like, what's going on?
It's a wishbone from the 70s with Nebraska and Oklahoma. No, I don't get it. No, I never got it from the get-go. In fact, I'm sorry. I see all these rumors going around, and they always are so like, oh, they're being planted by this agent or this team for some reason. I don't believe this Packers win. I know that doesn't help for our purposes, but I think this is a lie. I'm going to stake my flag. The Packers did not want Jonathan Taylor. They said it's like this is like when a team says, "Oh, I was going to draft Russell Wilson or Jalen Hurts." They weren't, but then they said later.
Oh, right. Like Jerry Jones saying, "We really wanted Jalen Hurts."
Yeah.
Well, you picked 2 spots before him.
Yeah. I think
in the second round, you could have had him, but you didn't.
I feel like I'm acting like you. You hear a headline from a team and you immediately assume that somebody's lying about something.
Yeah, but this one I kind of believe.
Really? Why? I don't believe it.
It just felt like, I don't know. Why would someone just make it up out of thin air?
People have been tracking that the Packers get linked to a lot of trades after they happen, and they never pull the trigger, except for Aaron Rodgers. But that's
so they want like credit for being in on
active.
guys.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good point. You're right. Why would they make it up?
I know that move because for a long time my Mets did that move. They were just in on so and so.
Oh, that's the worst move. I hate that as a sports fan.
It's the worst. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, coming up next, surprise, surprise, guess who is back out on the practice field today? We've got that for you in just a moment. After this CBS Sports Update, here's Rich Ackerman.
CBS Sports Radio. Sports Flash.
Spoiler alert, that is coming up in 10 seconds. Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. A little more than a week to go before the start of the NFL season, and good news for the Bengals with Joe Burrow returning to practice today, his first session in over a month when he suffered a strained calf. Lots of afternoon baseball today in Baltimore. The White Sox gave up 4 in the first, but have had smooth sailing since and lead the Orioles by a score of 10-5 in the bottom of the 7th as they look to salvage a game from this 3-game series. Luis Robert with his 35th home run of the season in that one. Bottom of the 8th in Minnesota, the Twins have a 2-1 lead over the Guardians. Top of the 8th, the Angels have just taken a 7-6 lead over the Phillies with 2 in this inning. Hunter Renfroe, his 19th homer. Trey Turner with his 4th in the last 3 games. He now is 19. Toronto out in front of Washington 2-0 in the top of the 2nd. Bottom 5, it's St. Louis and San Diego even at 3. And top of the 5th, Chicago leads Milwaukee 2-1. I'm Rich Ackerman.
CBS Sports Radio is everywhere, at home, in your car, and of course on your phone and tablet. Find us on your local affiliate, SiriusXM Channel 158, or the free Odyssey app.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Oh, this is Family Matters. Yes. Great show.
Wait, is Family Matters with Urkel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's time to Ask the Pros, where you guys can ask us a question. Gals, it's brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at CBS Sports Radio or at Maggie and Pearl using the hashtag Ask the Pros. Be listening later in the show when we might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. One of the great all-time, reinventions of a TV show, adding a character later in seasons, is turning Steve Urkel into Stefan Urkel. Such a brilliant twist. Because by then they'd been on the air for a while, right? You don't remember this?
No, not at all.
So
was that for how? So it was one episode or a whole season?
No, it would happen sometimes when Steve Urkel built it was not a time machine, but something, and he would walk into the machine and he would come out. He'd go in as Steve Urkel and he'd come out as Stefan Urkel, and Laura was in love with him.
Didn't they later split the two, so they were two people at the same time? I think they split the personalities into two different people.
Oh, I don't know, but it was they could never be in the same room at the same time.
No, I think they did that later. Stefan became its own dude. Way ahead of its time. This show,
honestly, so good.
And also
Reginald Vell Johnson, fantastic, also in Die Hard. Yeah,
Jaleel White, baller. You ever seen him play basketball?
Huge Golden State Warriors fan.
Yeah, really good athlete.
Almost every game. And that's what we know about Family Matters. What else do we know? Joe Burrow back on the practice field today. How about that? It was July 27th, second day of training camp, when Joe Burrow left with a calf strain, Perloff. They'd been kind of cagey. Remember, Zach Taylor did not want to put any timetables on anything. Even asked yesterday if he was going to practice this week. Zach Taylor said, we'll see. And today, here he is on the practice field. Great news for the Bengals.
Yeah, great news, but still, it does not help us.
Well,
we have a bet about the average salary that Joe Burrow is going to command. They're 8 days away. They're in full game prep. I don't know the timing of this, but it feels like a weird time to sign an extension. So it's possible we're going into the season with Joe Burrow not having an extension in a spot where a lot of quarterbacks have gotten it. Herbert got it, obviously. So what's going to happen here? Is he just going to play the year and hope for the best?
I think he's getting paid no matter what. I think the Bengals would be ludicrous not to pay Joe Burrow. And so you want to find that sweet spot so you can still pay other guys on the team. I get that. But to dangle Joe Burrow makes no sense at all. I think he's getting paid. He'd get paid if he had like one leg. I think he's getting paid no matter what.
Yeah, but when? You think he could play the whole season and not get paid? Because they do have him for 2 more years under contract and then a third to franchise tag him. If it wasn't Joe Burrow and it was a normal mortal quarterback, you'd be like, well, they have 3 years left. What's a big deal?
Wait, do you realize what a disaster it would be if they somehow got to a franchise tag situation? That's what happened with Lamar Jackson. It was terrible.
Was it?
Ravens ended up paying anyway.
Yeah, but they saved a little money by going that route.
I guess, but they still gave him an extension.
Yeah, but they got a longer tryout with him. It didn't cost them anything to do all that, did it? Except some bad headlines.
Yeah, bad headlines. And also, you could have, I guess, started the clock a lot earlier here and maybe been able to manage things a little bit easier through Lamar's last 2 seasons.
Well, here's the thing. If you had paid Lamar if you pay anybody after 3 years, then not only are you going to have to pay that giant money immediately where you're losing the rookie contract, then you have to pay him again, and you're hitting the same problem really quickly. I feel like if you can extend them, the thing is Joe Burrow is just so good. He's in that top 2 or 3 quarterback in the league echelon that you want to keep him happy. That being said, if it's say it was Dak Prescott or somebody else, I'm 3 more years. I'm going to keep a hold of those years. You could franchise tag him twice. They could have him for 4 years if they wanted.
I know, but they're not going to mess around like that with Joe Burrow, right? Because I think it's seen as a sign of disrespect. If you franchise tag your quarterback, because you're basically saying the future's up in the air. We're not giving you any stability whatsoever.
But that's 2 years away. They don't even have to franchise tag him for next year. They still have him under contract because of this salary cap structure. So
okay, but here's the thing. You could sign it after 3 years, and it doesn't kick in until after 2. So you still get that. Like Josh Allen, he signed after 3 years, but the big cap hits didn't start till this year.
But what incentive do the Bengals really have? They don't have to pay him now. It's not a big deal.
Well, here's
just to keep him happy. That's the only thing that matters.
Well, they're lucky because you never would think about a holdout with Joe Burrow, right? He's playing no matter what. I don't think a contract is going to keep Joe Burrow from the field.
I don't know. Well, I say that today, but an hour and a half ago, I didn't know if that was true.
You really think Joe Burrow would sit out? Would hold out?
Yeah, I think if it's the same situation next year, I think Joe Burrow would consider holding out.
Ooh, I don't know. I think that's really tricky for quarterbacks to do.
They go into a real problem next year if he's not signed. And they can't sign him in the offseason and he comes into week 1 of next year, you don't think that'd be they don't want that hanging over their head.
No, nobody does, but I think Burrow's going to keep playing. I would call his bluff on that. This is like Kevin Durant. I never thought Kevin Durant was not going to show up to play basketball for the Brooklyn Nets. There's some guys who love the sport so much, and I'm not saying dudes who hold out don't love it, but I think it's really hard for quarterbacks. I think Lamar Jackson got a lot of criticism when he, asked to be traded, and, there were reports about how much money he was turning down, and to regular people like us to turn down $200 million or something, it doesn't make you look good.
Right. It's all headlines and things. It's nothing real. Kevin Durant? What? Kevin Durant loves basketball that much?
Yes, we talked about this. He's the first person I think of. He asked for a trade.
Well, he doesn't love it enough to not be he loved it so much he had to go to the best team in the league to try and win a title.
I'm not trying to relitigate Kevin Durant. I'm just saying he asked for a trade from the Brooklyn Nets, and no one took it seriously that he would hold out because he loves playing basketball too much to not show up. And everyone was right. He showed up for the Nets and eventually got traded to the Phoenix Suns.
I don't think of Kevin Durant like that at all. I think of Kevin Durant. I'll be totally honest. Like LeBron puts $1 million into his body in the offseason. Kevin Durant gets high and goes on an interview with Letterman. I don't feel like he's like Mr. Basketball. Like LeBron is Mr. Basketball. I don't view KD like that. Do you guys all view KD as like the warrior, has to be on the court at all costs guy?
It's not warrior, but I know what Maggie's saying. Like, he does have a love for basketball. His life is basketball. Maybe he's not putting the money in that LeBron is putting in, but like he lives to play basketball.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't feel like he even looks like he's having fun.
Well, I mean, he never looks like he's having fun, but like people question James Harden, right? Like, he's got clearly other hobbies.
Like, we've seen Kevin Durant cry when he won the MVP. We've seen him, like, constantly always trying to... I mean, he's always talking basketball. Like, even when he's high talking to Letterman, he's talking basketball.
Really? KD, I mean, he's got a million business interests. I don't know. KD is like... No, I don't see him like that at all. I mean, maybe there was a... I didn't follow that stuff with the Nets because that was a joke franchise and a joke team. But... I don't know. KD to me seems like a very diversified guy.
Okay, KD aside.
But Joe Burrow. Yeah, I understand. But Joe Burrow also, you were so sure 2 hours ago before he showed up that there was nothing involved. You were 100% positive as soon as he's healthy, he's getting on the field. Because I don't think you were alone in a room on that one.
No, I never thought he was going to hold out. I never thought this was about the contract because I always think he's going to get paid.
So you don't think he was slowing down when he was coming to practice? You didn't even give any inkling to the thought that maybe he's not showing up to practice because he hasn't gotten paid yet.
No, but there's no contract. I mean, unless we're going to get an announcement here coming down soon.
Right.
There's no new contract, and he's on the field.
Right, but 2 hours ago, we had no idea when he was going to show up to practice. So everybody out there thought, oh, well, he's waiting until he gets his contract.
I'm not one of those people. I thought it was about the calf because these are tricky. And it was like Jamar Chase came out and said, we don't even need him for week 1. Like, he'd rather that Burrow sit out and be fully healthy because you don't want something nagging all season. Now, I thought that might be a little crazy because the Bengals open up with 2 straight division games, and those are going to probably be the toughest games of their schedule.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I think will you acknowledge that a lot of people were wondering about, I wonder if he's waiting.
And I think that's BS because everything that Joe Burrow has shown you front-facing, now granted, we don't know everything behind the scenes, but everything that he's shown you front-facing, where would you get that inclination? Like, does he not get the benefit of the doubt on this?
Common sense. Like, why is he going? First of all, why is he going out there with a hurt calf? I mean, it was only 4 weeks ago. It was walking around on one leg. Like, he's risking a lot of money here because look at KD. I'm sorry to bring it back to KD. He had a hurt calf, and 4 weeks later it was a blown Achilles. It does seem like Burrow's in a wonky health situation. I mean, that's obvious.
Burrow's not 7 feet tall and had not already been paid $200 million. I mean, I don't think that he ever was going to hold out because of a contract. I ultimately think they're going to get something done. It'd be such a colossal mistake from the Bengals side of things not to get something done.
But it's easy to say now that he just showed up to practice. This would have been helpful information yesterday.
Well, I've maintained this the whole time. Every time we've talked about this.
Find me the tape on this one.
Samter, go find it.
You said, we never taled about this actually, so I can't imagine this.
The day he got hurt and days after. I've always said I think that he's going to get paid.
Yesterday when the coach came out and said, I'm not giving a timeline, and everyone's like, oh, what's going on here? This is pure dysfunction. Clearly there's an issue with the contract.
Oh, that was not me. You're talking everybody. I don't know who everybody is.
Mike, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Well, I was the one who was kind of thinking like there might be some smoke. But, like, yeah, of course, Maggie's been all over. He's going to get paid. She's got the bet for the Skyline Chili.
Yeah, I know.
He's going to get paid.
I bet you that he's going to make more money than Justin Herbert, or else I've got to eat Skyline Chili with no hands. Clearly, I think he's going to get paid.
Yeah.
So yesterday when Zach Taylor said, we'll see, when he was asked multiple times.
I thought this whole time was about the calf injury, not about the money.
I think he has a very healthy body, and I'm encouraged by that. And yet we had no quarterback in practice. You can see why people connect the dots and say, well, maybe something's going on with the contract. That's a fair assumption, right? Because
I'm not saying it's not fair, Perloff. I'm just saying I didn't think it. If you did, just say you think it's about the contract. Do you think it's about the contract?
No, because he just showed up.
Okay,
the story's over.
Did you yesterday?
Yeah, I totally did.
Okay, no, the story's not over.
Yeah, he showed up in practice.
But he still hasn't gotten paid, right? So that goes into my theory, which is he's going to play no matter if he has a contract or not.
Right. Well, now that's abundantly clear because he showed up.
Okay, so yesterday you thought he was a contract holdout.
I'm telling you, everybody was talking about it.
What do you think?
I think like he was slow. I think he slow played his return to practice because he was working on the contract.
Okay, so you think we can expect a contract then in the next, 24 hours?
No, now it's done. Now I think we're 8 days away from the season and they're full on practice mode. It seems like nothing's going to happen. I expected a contract to be signed, then him to show up.
Oh, you wanted
Because,
that chronological of the contract first, and then the contract could be like dotting the T's and, dotting the I's and crossing the T's, and we get it today or tomorrow.
Well, the only
Why are
reason
we
I
dotting
said
the T's?
I'm just
the reason I say that is
I'm
because
an idiot.
Joe Burrow is obviously slightly vulnerable physically here. Like we saw the injury; it was on camera. So he's got a calf injury and he's out there on the field. This could easily get worse. I think that's the kind of injury that seems to nag for a long time. So if he gets hurt in week 1, 2, or 3, then all of a sudden he's going into the contract negotiation of his life on an injured season. That's not what you want.
Yeah, I still think he's getting paid no matter what.
But when?
I'm not sure.
Well, he's definitely getting paid no matter what, but
Yeah.
like how much, I think. I mean, he could lose lots.
I've already bet you I think it's more than Herbert. And I still think it's going to be more than Herbert. Because here's the thing. He's their quarterback for the next, hopefully, decade or more. And I don't think that what happens in the immediate, which is even this upcoming season, is going to change any of that.
Okay, but do you think if he blows out his whole leg in week 4, he's still going to be the first $500 million quarterback? See, I think it will affect.
Do you remember
a little
when
bit.
Dak Prescott got basically like his foot was broken off from the rest of his leg? And he got a massive contract the year after.
But it was in line with other contracts. Burrow will break the record. He's going to be the number 1 quarterback of all time.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be really uncomfortable doing all that for a guy who's going to have a completely injury-plagued season. Yeah, I think it's the Bengals.
First of all, we haven't played an injury-plagued season yet. He's probably back on the practice field because they feel comfortable with him back out there. They wouldn't, they're not going to mess around with the health of their best player and their most important player.
Yeah, but they were sending out mixed signals yesterday. There's no doubt about it. Taylor was asked, I saw in the story, he was asked multiple times, so how's he doing? And he's like, he's healthy. Well, when's he going to practice? I can't tell you.
Right. He's the first. You're telling me you're expecting a coach to not be cagey about this stuff? That's what they do. Coaches rarely give timelines on these kinds of things. And Zach Taylor has been cagey about this from day one when he said he's going to be out several weeks, and then said he only needs 1 snap to get ready for the regular season.
Man, I hope Burrow doesn't get hurt.
Oh, me too. I mean, we all want to see him play.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So first of all, here's the thing about the timing. They're 8 days away from their opening.
Yeah.
Does he really have time to finish his contract between now and the season? Obviously, Bosa and Chris Jones will probably sign a contract this week, but we've been waiting on this massive record-breaking. This is a historic contract. He's going to become the first $500 million man. He could do it 3 days before week 1.
Why not? 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, coming up, we got the latest from Dallas and how Dak Prescott's feeling after the surprise trade for Trey Lance.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We were talking about sports triggers. Mike is in Pennsylvania, has got one.
We never should have let Jimmy Butler go.
No.
Come playoff time?
I was tickled by it. He's got a laugh that makes me laugh. People said Kawhi Leonard in the chat.
Yeah, very much. Wow. Wow. Maggie, I think the Sixers are going to win the NBA championship this year.
The Bills will win a Super Bowl.
Don't say that.
The Jets will have a solid, dependable, steady season with no drama.
It's so good.
Can I just do one more?
Yeah, go ahead.
The Mets are going to figure it out.
That's just mean. We're just piling on Maggie.
It's so easy.
I threw in the Jets, too.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome into the show. What did Trey Lance have to say about getting traded to the Cowboys? Quite a bit, Perloff. It was still, now even a few days later, is one that I guess you can squint a little and see why it may make sense for the Cowboys. But for Trey Lance, yeah, because he's not going to get reps. It's going to be hard to develop him when he's third string.
Yeah, it's so funny, though. It feels like the Cowboys are in a better shape here than the Niners, in the sense that the Niners, there's nothing good you could say about this whole situation. No. The Cowboys, at least there's hope that something weird comes out of this. Why not take a flyer?
Yeah, for the Cowboys, totally take a flyer. 4th round pick, $5 million? It's nothing. For San Francisco, invested 3 first-round picks and a third-round pick, and it never worked out with Trey Lance. So here was Lance talking about the trade to the Cowboys.
It was a little bit surreal for me, hearing that I was going to come here knowing, everything about this historic organization. So it's been awesome for me. It's been fun, kind of a breath of fresh air to learn a new offense and just, like I said, being around the guys these last 2 days.
He also went on to say that Dak Prescott has welcomed him with open arms.
Yeah.
And we know that Prescott was a little chafed because I guess he is pretty good friends with Will Greer.
There you go.
Third stringer. So he's a little bummed that his friend got moved out.
I'm really curious about the fit here in the sense that Kyle Shanahan has a certain style of quarterback, and Mike McCarthy, an innovator in West Coast football. What did Mike McCarthy see in Trey Lance? I am having trouble figuring that one out.
How deep do you think McCarthy was involved in that trade talk?
That's interesting. You think it was all Jerry? I figured McCarthy had to figure this out. No, you think it's Jerry?
No, McCarthy's a big quarterback guy, right? Developed a lot of quarterbacks.
He's a famous West Coast quarterback guy.
Totally, but could you see Jerry going rogue on this one? Not rogue. He's got a whole front office.
I thought they had a bunch of guardrails there, so Jerry can't make any decisions anymore because they've made nothing but smart decisions in the last few years. I thought Jerry was sort of symbolically there.
They draft well and they develop guys. So maybe they feel like they've got like a little magic potion here. But even then, so say you do develop Trey Lance, right? Say you turn him into, say you thought maybe he could have been a starter coming out of North Dakota State, and say you turn him into a starter. First of all, unless Dak Prescott gets hurt and Cooper Rush gets hurt, he's not going to see the field. Unless you think somehow he could get caught up and up to speed in time. So
maybe past Cooper Rush on the depth chart. I have no idea.
Okay, so you trade him again? Is this like one of those situations? Or do you think he could really replace Dak Prescott? Because what are the odds that Trey Lance is going to be as good as Dak? Do you think Trey Lance is going to be a top 10 quarterback?
When the Eagles drafted Jalen Hurts, and they had Carson Wentz, now everybody says, they knew Jalen Hurts was going to eventually take the job. But that wasn't clear at the time. Wentz was still really good. Wentz has really fallen off. He was at a certain level. So I think people were like, okay, two options. A, they're developing a backup, important. Or B, they're going to sort of develop him and then trade him. Or C, Wentz will fall apart. So maybe
Dak will fall apart, yeah.
Maybe, right. That's what I'm talking about when they drafted Hurts. So maybe they think, A, we'll have a good backup.
Yeah.
Or B, we might be able to trade him at the end of his contract. Or C, he'll be the replacement. So you can make an argument that it's good to have a really full quarterback room. The Eagles do that all the time. I wouldn't even be surprised if they use a third-round pick or second-round pick on a quarterback, because the Patriots used to do that with Brady, too.
Yeah, with Jimmy G.
They drafted Ryan Mallett. They drafted Jimmy G. They drafted Jacoby Brissett in the third round, I think. So they were always messing around with the quarterback room. So maybe Jerry's thought saw Robert Kraft do it and said, I should do it.
It's not a bad thought. It could definitely work.
Dak Prescott was a fourth-round pick, and Trey Lance, and he took over for Tony Romo when nobody expected that. Maybe Jerry in his head is like, ooh, another fourth-round pick guy. This would be such a mess, though. If Dak does not work out this year, oh, man.
Well, that's the big question.
That's such a mess. If Trey Lance ever starts there because he earned the job, that means Dak was terrible, right?
Yeah, and I just don't see Dak Prescott having like a big fall-off season. I don't think he's going to all of a sudden just like forget how to play quarterback. I don't think Mike McCarthy's going to forget how to coach. But I can understand both of them sort of feeling the seat being a little bit warm for them. I mean, if they don't, I'm not saying like they have to go to the Super Bowl here. Jerry's so loyal. But I can understand both of them kind of looking over their shoulder a little bit. Dak Prescott wanted a contract extension, hasn't gotten one.
In the beginning of the offseason, you and I had an argument, and I said McCarthy's the one who's much more on the hot seat.
Yeah.
I thought, and I was like, they're going to sign Dak this offseason, because I think a lot of us thought that they were going to sign him.
Yeah, they kept saying they were going to, and then did it.
Also, too, because it freed up a lot of salary cap space and made things much more maneuverable, but they never did it. So I still think McCarthy's on the hot seat. I think he better win double-digit games and win. I think he has to win a second-round playoff game. If he gets booted in the second round again, I know that's pretty far. I think he's in big trouble.
I don't think so, but I can see a little tense, like it being a little tense. First of all, McCarthy's taken over the play calling, so there's nowhere else to look.
A lot of responsibility.
Once you fire the offensive coordinator, like that's the shot, right? You use that shot, and next you know where it's coming. It's coming for you. So he already, used that move. Can't do that again. There's definitely pressure on him, definitely, and Dak too.
Why Dak, though? Because here's the question. What are they going to do?
Yeah.
Is Trey Lance the real answer? Are they going to draft a guy? If they're in a position to draft a guy, then Jerry
things
Jones
went really bad.
Yeah, I mean, they have such a good team around him. Jerry Jones is 80 years old. If they are a top 5 pick this year, then things are going drastically awry. Like, they are built to win now.
That's what I could never understand. It's like, oh, Dak, he's not going to be the quarterback. Then who the hell else is going to play for them? Because they're in this sort of, they're not going to be bad enough to get a high draft pick. And anyone else on the market, Dak's probably going to be better than that person. So it never made sense. The Trey Lance thing, though, it makes you think twice about what Dak's future could be, but you're asking a tall task here, which is you're asking to develop a guy who has no reps virtually at the pro level, and you have no avenue to get him pro reps as far as we can see now. I mean, here's the other thing about the Cowboys. I think they'll probably have another good offense. They had a good offense last year. They're not in a lot of blowouts. So there's not a lot of garbage time and stuff like that. That's not where this is going to come from.
Yeah, the NFL doesn't seem to have a ton of that.
It's not like college.
How about this scenario? What if it's a Joe Montana, Steve Young? What if they got the next Steve Young? Well, it's funny I say that because Kyle Shanahan called Sam Darnold a Steve Young.
I know.
Steve Young took over in San Francisco. He was 30 when he first, well, actually 31 when he first won the full-time job. Dak Prescott's 23.
The salary structures are a little different these days.
Yeah, you're right. But and this is my Cowboys quarterback fantasy where Dak does 5 years at a high level with Trey Lance learning behind him. Trey Lance takes over at 28. Cowboys have nothing but quarterback success for 2 decades.
Wow. Setting up really nicely for them.
Yeah, that's a good plan.
It's a great plan. Are they going to? I don't know how they do it. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Now, speaking of former 49er quarterbacks, Jimmy Garoppolo was speaking to our pal Robin Lundberg of Sports Illustrated, and he was talking about the 49ers and what they're like when it comes to quarterbacks.
Weird situation. Been a lot of weird situations over there in San Francisco, just to leave it at that. But, I'm happy Trey got another shot, man.
How do you think San Francisco's handled those quarterback situations?
How do you think they've handled them?
I think it's been messy. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, that's a nice way to put it.
Robin with a great follow-up question there. How do you think they've handled it? And then Garoppolo tries to put it back on him. That's a Tom Brady trick, by the way, that Garoppolo learned from Brady. But messy, Jimmy Garoppolo concurred. Messy is how Robin described it. I think he's absolutely right.
Yeah, what is it? I'd like to put words into Jimmy G's mouth. Do you think he's saying that it's the personnel decision or how they handle the quarterbacks in the building on a week-to-week basis or how they send mixed messages to all their quarterbacks?
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, what exactly, why do things tend to be so awkward there?
I think it's a personnel thing because they kept Jimmy G. They said goodbye to Jimmy G, and then they brought him back.
Yeah.
So, like, there's no consistency in the offseason. It looks like they're headed one way. They put in all these resources. They draft Trey Lance number 3. And then, you know what? We don't like you. We're going with another guy. And it also feels like, those serial daters who know girlfriend or boyfriend is good enough.
Yep.
Feels like they're going to get sick of Brock Purdy in a year or two.
So the 49ers are just the one friend that won't settle down?
Yeah, they're Dan. You know Dan.
Dan.
I don't want to call him
5 of my friends dated Dan.
Yeah, if you knew Dan, trust me, your friends all would have dated Dan. But he just he couldn't quite settle down. It feels like Kyle Shanahan.
Did he ever settle down?
No, we don't know. He
Dan's gone.
He's got some Bruce in him. I have most of my
just
good
people for sure. You're not talking about Dan Patrick.
No. I got a friend. His nickname is Dr. Dan.
Okay.
And he's
but he's not a medical doctor. Doctor of the ladies.
I don't want to give away too many details.
He's a ladies' man.
He is the ladies' man.
Yeah.
So Bruce with the glass eye is the one friend who you love his stories more than anything.
Yeah.
Dr. Dan's stories.
Lost the eye mid-coitus.
Yeah, so, Dr. Dan's stories, he's like a smooth version of Bruce.
Ah, okay.
So he dated...
Both eyes?
Yeah, his 2 intact eyes. Here's the thing. I would introduce him, we would meet a bunch of women. Say,
you're out for the... At a bar.
Say you met Dr. Dan and you're like, oh, maybe I'll set you up with one of my friends. He's not going to settle down.
No.
Do you know that guy?
Yes. Yes. Because there has been times when one of those guys was my husband's friends and one of the girls were my friends.
So what do you do?
They all crisscrossed and it got messy. Thankfully, there were no truly hurt feelings.
Yes. So Kyle Shanahan is that guy.
Yeah.
and the quarterbacks are your girlfriend. And Jimmy G's out there with
I'm
Robin
sorry,
Love.
ladies. I don't know why I set you up for that. I didn't mean to.
I feel like there's going to be a fraternity of people who were burned by Kyle Shanahan. It's going to be Jimmy G, Trey Lance. It's probably going to be Sam Darnold in a year or two. He's going to be like, this guy told me I was going to be the next Steve Young and didn't even play me.
He never called me again.
He'll probably get sick of Brock Purdy. It's a
can
really
you go all the way
situation.
back to Matt Ryan? They won an MVP together. That's almost as close as you can get. They basically got engaged, but then the Super Bowl happened and they broke it off.
Well, listen, that's when he was a coordinator.
Yeah.
It's really become evident in San Francisco when Kyle's gotten all the power.
Yeah, that's true. Although he and his dad both had presumably the power in D.C.
Yeah, and they sort of
RG3.
They jerked around RG3.
Yeah. Well, and they put him back into a game. His dad put him back into a game, and he got hurt.
And then they went Cousins. Even before that, they had Matt Schaub. I don't know what's going to happen here.
Yeah, the NFL's littered with 49ers ex-quarterbacks.
So people sleeping on the fact that Kyle Shanahan is a quarterback playboy. He's just out there. He's out there breaking hearts.
The Leonardo DiCaprio of NFL coaches.
I actually didn't even know until I heard that Jimmy G had any bitterness towards Kyle. But now I think he must.
You could understand why. They basically shunned him.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let him practice with the team. He's not invited to the quarterback meetings, but then Trey Lance gets hurt in week 2 last year and it's like, Jimmy, come back, save us.
Yeah.
He did keep the ship afloat, and then he gets hurt, and then Brock Purdy's the new flavor of the month. I get it.
Yeah. And Trey Lance is obviously has
scorned.
The fact that he's so happy to be in Dallas says to me speaks of how unhappy he is with the 49ers.
Yeah, and it's smart for him to put a big face on it. What is it? Kyle Shanahan, quarterback playboy?
Quarterback playboy, yeah. Or quarterback playa?
Yeah, playa.
Doesn't really make any sense. I think.
Hold on. Quarterback what? Playa?
Playa.
I think AH at the end, right?
Yeah. I think we're going to all fall in love with Trey Lance this year. He's going to be on the sidelines, smiling. He's going to have a great year.
He's going to be in street clothes with a clipboard.
Yeah, I was going to say, how much camera time do you think he's really getting?
No, somebody called the other day and said that he's going to get packages. He might play 3 or 4, so maybe he'll be in uniform.
I guess he can get a package, but to really get to dress a third-string quarterback?
That was Big Dave who said that, big Cowboy fan.
Though they changed the rule on third-string quarterbacks with emergency quarterbacks. I think you can dress a third one now.
Was that only for the playoffs?
I think that's just for the playoffs.
Oh, is that only the playoffs? Damn. I don't know. We got to get Trey Lance on the field. Trey Lance is going to be in street clothes.
You know what it's going to be like?
You don't give him a 4th-round pick for a guy who's not going to dress.
Well, that's why this pick didn't make a lot of sense.
It's Jerry Jones. Come on.
That's why we're going to get every time they pan to the Cowboys bench, hey, there's Trey Lance, and then that's what the season's going to be.
He's just going to be staring at Microsoft Surfaces all season long.
Just really looking hard at Dak's 15th interception.
Rewind, fast forward. Oh no!
I'm just kidding.
That is the backup quarterback's main role, is to be a partner in a Microsoft Surface session. It's always the starter goes down and the backup runs over, sits down, and they stare intently at the screen. Do you think there's anything on there?
No, I feel like Russell Wilson is watching that tablet and nothing is on it.
No, they're definitely playing solitaire or Toon Blast or something.
He's staring through it. Have you ever had that happen where you're in a certain type of mood and you're looking at your phone but you're not really looking at it, or you're watching TV but you're not paying attention?
Yeah.
That's Russ.
I love when a guy throws an interception and hits the cornerback right between the numbers. It's the worst pass ever. Then he goes and sits down and looks at his iPad. He's like, what the hell happened there? Where'd that dude come from? I can just see the thought process. They're looking at everything does anyone know where that player came from? Because I did not know that was going to happen.
It's see, you were supposed to throw it here, and then Patrick Surtain came right in there.
Yeah.
Not for us, but.
That we should follow that this year. It's one of those great little moments of when the quarterback throws an interception, his first look at the iPad, what his eyes do, the worst.
Never call it an iPad. The NFL is going to come down to the studio right now and
hit us over the head with one.
Yeah. Listen, I'm the one who's friends with all the backup quarterbacks, so I can value these kind of things. Reading, sitting next to a guy and explaining what you see on the Microsoft Surface is an important role.
Honestly, the next time we have Case Keenum on the show, we should ask him, is there really what's really on the screen?
Oh.
Case will know.
There should
Case
be a dedicated camera just for the Microsoft Surface Cam.
Yeah, I've watched pretty much every snap Case has had there. And I love him to death. There's no one, after an interception, he gives the most mystified look at the iPad you'll ever see in your life.
What sport are we playing?
He'll turn his hat backwards and just stare at that thing like there's some answer on there. We should ask him about that.
Somehow the cornerback's not going to enter the frame if you watch it 80 times. Maybe he'll drop the interception this time. Oh, boy. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, you're welcome to weigh in on the Cowboys. Are we going to see any Trey Lance? And do you think that Dak Prescott is looking over his shoulder at Trey Lance after the trade? Okay, coming up, Perloff goes against the grain. It's back for the NFL season. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio. Okay, this show is sponsored in part by BetterHelp. Sometimes in life, we're faced with tough choices, and the path forward, it isn't always clear. So whether you're dealing with decisions around your career, relationships, really anything else, therapy helps you stay connected to what you really want while you navigate life, so you can move forward with confidence and excitement. Trusting yourself to make decisions that align with your values, it's like anything. The more you practice it, the easier it gets. Therapy can give you the tools to find more balance in your life so you can keep supporting others without leaving yourself behind.
You know, we've all been through some unpredictable times over the past few years, and it's not a sign of weakness to ask for help. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/MNP today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/MNP.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Come on, Carlos. Thought you were going to challenge us.
I
here.
know.
All right. This portion of the show is sponsored by the United States Postal Service, introducing USPS Ground Advantage, reliable and affordable 2 to 5 day package shipping. The United States Postal Service.
I mean, this is not name shows in the 90s. This is the sitcom of the 90s.
This and was Friends 90s?
Friends was 90s, yeah.
Yeah, and Sopranos, was that 90s?
I don't think so.
Sopranos was 2000s.
Yeah, that was like the height of like the HBO like premium TV stuff.
Well, the only reason I know that is because when they did this TV show theme quiz, Sopranos was one of the songs and everyone knew it immediately.
Yeah. Do you see that Robert Saleh got the
Yeah,
Sopranos treatment last night's episode of Hard Knocks?
That was cool.
It made me want to turn off the Hard Knocks and watch Sopranos.
Yeah, I know. Totally.
I already know how this preseason game ends. I can probably just flip over to season 4 of The Sopranos.
Unpopular hot take.
What's up?
I rewatched Sopranos a lot because it's always on the plane. Doesn't 100% hold up.
Interesting. In what way? I don't rewatch it because it puts me in a weird mood.
I never saw it.
What?
It's one of the best shows
You
of all time.
should watch it.
I don't know what it is. Just some parts of it just don't feel as awesome as when I remember from before. It was my favorite
It's dark.
show.
It's really dark.
It's just the silly stuff. I like the stuff that's about organized crime. Some of the family stuff is like, oh my God, do we really have to sit here and watch?
Oh, with AJ?
AJ, yeah. AJ,
There's one season where AJ's in it a lot.
I'll just say that is exactly what the problem was. AJ and Meadow and their friends they don't quite fit the show. I'm not sure they were the best actors at the time. They were young. Yeah, AJ seems pretty cool, but yeah, the family stuff was kind of grated on me.
Well, that's also because the stuff between Tony and Carmela is so amazing. Right? Like their dynamic and the scenes they had together. And then the kids, it's kind of hard to live up to that.
Yeah, I kind of like the Uncle June. When there was real drama, I like all the mafia stuff because I'm a sucker for any movie or TV show about organized crime. I'm all in.
Yeah.
But it's still an amazing show. And I definitely knew the theme song. That was easy.
Yeah, well, that one. And Seinfeld, definitely.
All right, let's play another theme song.
Very well
known. Hit against the grain because I have a team I love that Maggie's going to look at me like I'm crazy with.
Against the grain.
I have a new favorite team.
Wow.
Well, no, my favorite team is the Eagles, but I have a team I want to plant my flag on. You know how you plant a flag on a team?
Sure.
And I don't think they're going to win a single game. But, oh, man, do I want in on that Arizona Cardinals bandwagon.
Oh, no.
Everything they're doing is brilliant. The process in Philadelphia, I was all for. I do not mind tanking. I have no problem with it. You're doing what is best for your team. So the Cardinals cut Colt McCoy because they were terrified that he'd win too many games for him. He's gone. Now they brought in two of my favorite quarterbacks, Josh Dobbs, journeyman out of the University of Tennessee, former rocket scientist. Love the dude. And Clayton Tune, who I put in a huge Heisman bet for last year out of the University of Houston. Did not pay off at all, but he's very promising, a fifth-round pick. So they're taking some flyers at quarterback. They're not going to win any games. And they have a chance next year. The reason I'm all fired up about them is I listened to Matt Miller, our buddy at ESPN, put out a mock draft. He has the Cardinals getting the 1 and 2 pick. So that could mean in this year's draft, because the number 2 pick belongs to the Texans in this draft, possibly. The Cardinals got it in the Will Anderson trade. They could get Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. 1-2.
How about that?
And I think it's easy to become a Cardinals fan once Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. are there. Let's do it now. is this team the smartest team out there? And they have this wacky coach, Jonathan Gannon, who's totally eccentric. I feel like they're just thinking differently right now, and at least that's interesting.
Okay, well, first of all, Jonathan Gannon is not going to be there to see this process,
They can't fire Jonathan Gannon. They can't trade Colt McCoy and then go around and fire Jonathan Gannon.
No, but you know what I mean. Like, just like Brett Brown, I guess he sort of saw the process through, but like
he got like 8 years out of that.
Well, that's because no one else wanted the job because you were being paid to lose. I mean, that's awful. So Jonathan Gannon will not be there to see this thing through. However, it definitely is a tank. Here's my question about the whole thing. I get it. Everyone wants Caleb Williams, and if you get that second pick from Houston, you get Marvin Harrison or whoever you want. What do you do with Kyler Murray? You can't make him disappear.
Gone.
Okay, but
just eat the dead cap. It's over.
I mean,
who cares?
Okay, I guess
this
who
is
cares?
a team
So
that drafted
like
Josh Rosen at number 10 and went around and just drafted another guy the next year.
I know. This is what they're going to be known for. This is like their thing. Is just totally giving up on first-round picks for other first-round picks.
Honestly, I think it's fair to say that Caleb Williams is a generational prospect. We'll have to see the season play out, but it seems like Trevor Lawrence, Andrew Luck, Caleb Williams. So that, if they get the number 1 pick, that would be an incredible stroke of luck. I keep reading that Marvin Harrison Jr. might be the best wide receiver prospect, at least since Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he could immediately make an impact. You could have the next Burrow, Jamar Chase on your hands immediately.
Okay.
And immediately turn things around.
Can I just tell you, though, like, you say just get rid of Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
Like, the whole idea about having a young quarterback is they're cheap so that you can build up other places on the roster.
Right.
If you cut Kyler Murray after 2023, it's like $81 million in dead cap money. That's crazy. That means all the money you would be spending on shoring up your defense and trying to... you don't get that.
Well, you keep Murray for 1 more year, but you don't have to pay Caleb Williams. So keep Kyler Murray around. I don't know.
That's going to be a great atmosphere.
Give him 4 or 5 plays. He doesn't care. He's just going to
play video games all day.
When Kyler Murray goes to the bench and looks at the Microsoft Surface,
it's Call of Duty.
It's Call of Duty. It's some video game. So don't worry about him. I understand.
Now, if they trade him before June 1st, it's only a $46 billion.
Yeah, I was going to say 81. That sounds like funny money. I feel like
it's because they just gave him this
that's
massive
like Russell
contract.
Every time I read a story about how much Russell Wilson is going to cost the Broncos, it's always less and less and less. I don't know. They'll figure out something here.
They gave him $103 million fully guaranteed.
That is, first of all, that's not even that much anymore. I mean, what did Justin Herbert get fully guaranteed?
A little more than that.
Yeah. So anyway, they made a mistake, but it's called a sunk cost. I don't really understand that principle, but that money has been spent. Yeah, the dead cap's a problem. Show me a mock draft that doesn't have the Cardinals taking Kyler Murray. Nobody is considering Kyler Murray, and for a reason. There's just no way Kyler Murray's leading this team where they want to go, and they've shown every sign of that. They're doing a full reboot.
I know. I just wonder if they can thread this needle where you get Kyler Murray to come back. Not enough to put your tanking in jeopardy, right? Because you don't want Kyler Murray coming back and messing around and winning you a game or two, which he could do.
Yeah, with his legs.
Yeah. So you don't want him coming back, but you also need him to play at least a little bit if you want to trade him to showcase him to other teams that he's fully healed.
I think you'd have to give a draft pick with Kyler Murray to get someone to take that contract. There's no trade.
Yes.
No one's paying that money to Kyler Murray coming off an injury.
Do you want to play a game? Can you name anyone else on the Cardinals defense besides Budda Baker?
Oh, the Cardinals defense, they are a scary bunch.
Yeah.
I did see, by the way, they signed 6 players off other people's waiver wires today. So I think I can name one. I can't remember its exact name. It's like Kevon Williams or something. He was a backup cornerback on the Eagles. They just signed him today, and I think he's starting week 1.
Wait a minute, what?
They just signed him today. Like he got cut from the Eagles practice squad or something. But, okay. So Budda Baker.
Yeah.
Let's see. Isaiah Simmons. Did they draft another linebacker? Zaven Collins or something?
You're right. Zaven Collins. Nice.
Yeah,
First-round pick from 2021.
Yeah, but is he playing?
Yeah, he's starting.
Has he ever had a tackle in the NFL? I've never seen one.
He's their starting outside linebacker. So I hope he's had a couple of tackles.
Okay, J.J. Watt is not there.
Nope.
Chandler Jones sure is not there.
Nope.
Is there anyone on their defensive line that you've heard of or we know?
L.J. Collier from Seattle.
Yeah.
But not. I've heard of him.
Yeah,
you know.
Former first rounder, right?
Yeah.
That's no, I got no one else.
Kazir White.
Okay.
From Philly.
Oh, is that who? What did I say? Kevon Murray. Yeah. Okay.
You were so
but
close.
they just signed that guy today, so it's not like he's been.
Kazir White is their inside linebacker.
Okay, it's a different person.
Okay, yeah, that's different.
Okay.
It's tough.
Yeah, I don't know anyone else.
This is not shaping up well. Here was Jonathan Gannon from yesterday, where he was hesitant to say who his starting quarterback was going to be, whether it was Josh Dobbs or Clayton Tune, for a very specific reason.
I'm not going to name a starter because I think it's a competitive advantage for us going to Washington, but we'll know who the starter is.
I got news for you. You have 0 competitive advantages in this whole season. You'll be an underdog in every game.
Yeah, but Maggie, unless you embrace it now, I'm not letting you go to the Cardinals Super Bowl parade in 4 years.
You know what? I listen, a well-executed tank, I'm there for you.
Beautiful. It's Kevon Wallace. I said Kevon Williams. He's a safety who'll probably be their third best player. They just got off the waiver wire. Wait, should we have let me see. Now I'm pulled up the depth chart.
Yeah.
BJ Ojolari, who's hurt, right? The draft pick.
Yep.
Out of LSU. I don't think he's playing anytime soon. Okay, yeah, this is a full tank. This is what we call a full.
This is the execution of a full tank.
That's pretty cool.
Samter, you lived in Arizona. How full is the stadium going to be around week 7 or 8?
You know, the odd thing is Cardinals fans are rabid.
Okay.
At least they are now. I think that if they know that Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. or whatever else are going to be options, then I think that they'll be there whether they suck or not because they know that the future, kind of what Perloff is talking about.
I'm telling you, though, you better come with a creative sign to hold up about taking, like, cave in for Caleb or something like that. We got to start this thing now.
Yeah, but what you certainly
tanking for the Trojan?
You can't bring a sign this week because you don't know who the starting quarterback is. You don't know if it's Dobbs or Clayton Tune. Because I would go there and with a big sign, you know what they would read. Name that tune, right?
Oh,
hello.
Man. You'd get on TV too.
Yeah, but they won't. But Jonathan Gannon won't give me any hint about who's going to start. I mean, I could come up with a Josh Dobbs.
Signs. Have one for Dobbs too.
Yeah.
Dobbs ferrying the Cardinals to win. Does anyone know what Dobbs Ferry is?
Arizona knows what that is.
Dobbs Ferry is a town in Long Island, right? I barely know what that is.
Westchester.
Okay. I don't know. Help me out here, people. Give me a Josh.
It in Mad Men.
What's a Josh Dobbs sign?
Dap up Dobbs.
Yeah, I like it.
Dap me up.
Yeah.
I'm not.
That'd be good if it was.
Why am I playing into this? I hate these dad jokes.
2009.
I don't want to be recruited to write this stuff.
Yeah, this is a crazy situation. I think you said it. Does it really matter if Josh Dobbs or Clayton Tune is out there for week 1?
There's no competitive advantage whatsoever. I'm just pulling up their schedule really fast. So at Washington, the Giants, Dallas, at San Francisco, Cincinnati, the Rams, Seattle, obviously, Baltimore, Cleveland. This is not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. I think they probably just never bring Kyler Murray back.
Yeah, I mean,
that last game against Seattle.
But Murray's going to ask to come back probably.
Yeah, because if they're going to take Caleb Williams, he probably wants a chance to audition for someone else.
Yeah, and his guy, Cliff Kingsbury, is gone. I think he turned on Kingsbury anyway. I don't know that there's a great fit for Kyler Murray. He needs a particular offense, a particular kind of coach. I'm not sure where that is.
Do you think Kyler Murray's learning a new offense right now? Like learning the Cardinals' new offense?
I mean, if it's on Madden, maybe.
That'd be smart of them to do. Ask the people at Electronic Arts at EA just to make a specific video game for Kyler.
Well, remember Kyler did that offensive coordinator thing. Remember he called a bunch of plays? I think maybe he did learn. I mean, he seems to be very interested in play calling. So who knows? Yeah, this is weird. Jonathan Gannon does not help the situation. Nothing he says really makes sense.
That's why he's not going to see this through. But the process has started in Arizona. Coming up, the worst thing that can happen in sports, it happened. So what was it? We'll tell you next. After this CBS Sports Update, here's Rich Ackerman.
CBS Sports Radio. Sports Flash.
Well, the Bengals are able to breathe a sigh of relief today with Joe Burrow back at practice for the first time since suffering a strained calf over a month ago. Baseball action today. The Astros open the day in a 3-way tie for the lead in the American League West. and going for the sweep in their 5th straight win in Boston and leading by a score of 3-0 in the bottom of the second. Oakland, meanwhile, leads Seattle 2-0 in the top of the second. Lawrence Butler with his second home run of the season in that one. Philadelphia's 5-game winning streak is over. The Phils fall to the Angels 10-8 as Brandon Drury, gave the Angels the lead with his 19th home run of the season after Hunter Renfroe hit his 19th. Trey Turner with his 19th for the Phils. Bryce Harper going deep again, his 15th and 300th of his career. Toronto on top of Washington 4-0 in the top half of the 6th. Minnesota falls in 10 to Cleveland 5-2, while Baltimore gets crushed by the White Sox 10-5. Bottom of the 8th, it's San Diego leading St. Louis 4-3, and also bottom of the 8th, the Cubs and Brewers are even at 2. I'm Rich Eck.
Coming up later on the Zach Gelb Show, the 1987 Super Bowl MVP Phil Simms stops by, and it all gets started at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She was working in a bridal shop in Flushing, Queens.
Oh, the nanny?
Her out in one of those crushing scenes.
Carlos is doing 90s TV theme songs as our rejoin music today.
This is way more your wheelhouse. Like, I did not know that one.
I remember once, the first time that someone, like an online troll, said something mean about me, like ever in my career. They called me Fran Drescher. They said I had a voice like Fran Drescher from The Nanny.
Fran Drescher.
Oh, that's not nice.
She's yeah, but have you seen her leading the strike? She is showing out. Like, all of a sudden, that like annoying voice is gone, and she's like a powerful orator.
Turns out she's just an actress. That's not her real voice, guys.
Wait, I know.
Wild. I know. She's the head of the union, the Screen Actors Guild Union.
I mean, I think every executive watching her, their first reaction was like, wait, is that the nanny?
No, she's out there trying to kick some ass. So.
And it's also one of those situations where a role is so iconic, you can never act again because you can never be anybody else.
Was she ever in anything? I don't think
so. You can't show up. The nanny can't show up as somebody else, as Barbara from next door. She's the nanny.
Yeah, also, she can't be like the serial killer in the next. It's like, wait a minute, the nanny had all those bodies in the freezer? That can't be.
Also, the nanny's husband didn't get a lot of work after that. Or they eventually got married, right?
Oh, probably, yeah.
Yeah. I don't see
the guy who played Mr. Sheffield, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember his name.
I have no idea who he was. That's all I know for was him as Mr. Sheffield on the TV show.
And he had a British accent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can picture his face. Yeah, I feel bad. I'm a little behind. I can't give you much competition today, Meg.
I know. Well, I mean, Carlos really picked my wheelhouse here.
Yeah.
I was 10 in 1993.
I felt bad for the Full House, drop there.
Don't feel bad. I'm the one who feels bad, but I don't feel nearly as bad as Alex Cobb. Transition. Alex Cobb from the San Francisco Giants last night, Perloff. This is just brutal. 2 outs in the 9th inning. He had a no-hitter going, and it gets broken up. Yes. Oh, here we go. This is what it sounded like.
0-1 pitch. There's a drive in the right center field. On the run, Matos back into his right, and it's over his head. It will roll into the 6th archway, and that's the first hit. And it is 6-1, and that takes away the no-hitter for Alex Cobb.
Man, 2 outs in the 9th. In fact, so it was Spencer Steer drove the ball to right field, as you heard there. Luis Matos looks like he could have maybe gotten a glove on it, but it's a tough angle. He also walked a batter in the 9th, but before that run, the only thing that separated him from a perfect game was a fielding error by third baseman Casey Schmidt.
Well, I think the right fielder had moved in a little bit to try and prevent a single to preserve the no-hitter.
Yeah.
I think because the ball landed about 5 feet before the warning track. So I wonder if the guy was trying to save a no-hitter and by doing that kind of screwed the pitcher. That stinks.
Here's Alex Cobb taking it very well after the game.
Just, whatever, yeah. Still fun, there was I wasn't mad, sad. I was just, all right, let's finish it off kind of thing. But at least like the CG out of it.
That guy is lying. But I feel he said the right things, but he's got to be thinking like, oh, so close. When you get to 2 outs in the 9th inning, Perloff, you think you've got it.
Yeah, that's the worst way. I mean, the worst way was obviously Galarraga and the getting a bad call to cost you a no-hitter.
Honestly, though, but because of that, we have replay. So
yeah,
I feel bad for Armando Galarraga, but at least we all got something out.
That's even worse because at least this guy made solid contact. Like that Galarraga, the Tigers really had a no-hitter.
Yes, he did.
But that was the last out, right? Or
yeah. And it was Jim Joyce, right? Was the umpire? I think he did like a tearful interview.
He apologized. Everybody basically acknowledges the perfect game existed now.
Oh, okay. And that was I couldn't remember. That was a perfect game, not a no-hitter. But by the way, it does continue the trend of rando no-hitters.
Well,
like guys who are like, you don't need to be Justin Verlander to throw a no-hitter these days. I'm sorry. Michael Lorenzen, Framber Valdez, Matt Manning, Domingo Germán. Yeah, it's not exactly Cy Young Row. But anyway.
Is there anything worse? Like, I said to Perloff, I'm like, man, losing a no-hitter, 2 outs in the 9th inning is really brutal. But is it as bad as, like, kick 6 or the Music City Miracle? Like, losing on a walk-off special teams play, I think could be worse. But the team all shares in the failure there. It's like it's kind of on a lot of guys, not just one, where this is just on one, or maybe if you thought Matos could have gotten to that ball, on 2.
No, it's worse when you really snatch victory, or you snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory, as it were. Like kick 6, things where you thought you had a won.
Just like your jaws left on the floor.
Yeah, like you have the go-ahead score with 13 seconds left.
Yeah, thank you. I knew it was going to come
but
back.
I'm sorry.
I said the Music City Miracle. I self-owned.
But that is a great example because the Bills thought they had won. I mean, this is not a dig, but I think that's a even worse situation because it's postseason. This is bad individually, but I kind of believe that guy. Do you believe him at all that he wasn't totally heartbroken?
I think he's in shock. He hasn't fully processed it yet. He's probably, when no reporters are around, he's probably screaming expletives or like in his hotel room or something.
Okay, but I think the worst individual thing is to blow a golf lead because that's a slow, painful death.
Like a Rory McIlroy when he blows it. Yeah.
Greg Norman.
John Van de Velde.
John Van de Velde.
Yeah.
John Van de Velde, I think, is the most famous choke job of all time. Because in golf, this wasn't a choke job. The guy just made solid contact. Like, you don't see a slow mental breakdown. Like, you can't kill yourself if you're this guy.
Well, I was thinking also like Nick Anderson in the 95 NBA Finals where he misses 4 free throws. Like, all of a sudden, the pressure just got to him and he just cracked.
Yeah.
Like, that's got to be bad. But that's not the same thing here.
Yeah, that's a little different. I'm thinking John Starks going 3 for 18.
Yeah, terrible.
In that clutch game. Yeah, oh man, but this is not that. This feels bad
because it's so individual.
But he got the W. He got a complete game. Yeah.
Complete game. I mean, is that even anything to brag about anymore? They don't even do that anymore.
I'm telling you, these guys are getting no hitters. It's scrub city these days. I don't think it means what it once did.
Well, it's like you said, it's random. Some guys are great. Some guys you're never going to hear from again. Like the Framber Valdez's are awesome, but some guys it's like a flash in the pan.
Like Reed Detmers.
But just look back at like the last 30 years of no-hitters. It's really been like that for a while. Like, the late 90s when like David Cohn and David Wells, there's some like superstars who got it. But for the most part, it's always been kind of like the perfect game I feel like is different. Perfect game I feel like maybe there's more. I have to go back and look at the names.
Still, though, there can be a little randomness to that. I mean, Domingo Germán, unfortunately now he's in rehab for alcoholism, but, he was never he was never an ace for the Yankees.
No, none of these guys are. Michael Lorenzen, he was a Philly. They just traded for him out of nowhere.
His first game in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I don't even understand that. The one, do you guys remember Bud Norris on the Cardinals?
Yeah.
That one was like, I was like, how did that guy get a no-hitter? It used to be Nolan Ryan would throw all the no-hitters, and now every weird guy can get it. I've already forgotten the name. Ken Cobb? What's the guy? The name?
Alex Cobb.
Alex Cobb.
Ken Cobb.
Yeah. So immediately when I saw this story, I'm like, oh gosh, is this some ace I don't even know about? No, of course not.
Well, I mean, Alex Cobb's been around for a while. Tampa Bay Rays, right? The Rays before that. He's been around a little bit.
Oh my God, I've never heard of some of these guys. Tyler Gilbert threw one, and he's got a losing record in his career. Okay.
I feel like when Tyler Gilbert threw his no-hitter, we talked about how nobody has ever heard of Tyler Gilbert throwing a no-hitter.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that Dallas Braden was like a really huge
Yeah, it's
star
another
before
one.
he threw his no-hitter.
Yeah.
Or he was a perfect game, was he, Dallas Braden?
He was a perfect
Yeah,
game, and
Mother's
that was
Day.
pretty much that was the highlight of his career.
Yeah, and
There's
then
a couple of those guys.
right. But listen, unless like we joked about Nolan Ryan, like unless you are somebody who's it's going to be the highlight of any pitcher's career, right? Outside of like World Series.
You're saying it's a highlight of Spencer Turnbull's career?
Yeah,
Spencer
yeah.
Turnbull of the 12-29 career record, but he threw a no-hitter.
Was he on the Tigers?
He was, yes. Wade Miley, I mean, listen, you can't slow down Wade Miley.
Wade's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, still, though, he's got a 500 career record. John Means, Carlos Rodon, Joe Musgrove, Alec Mills, Lucas Giolito. I remember that one.
Well, that's just because he got put on waivers yesterday.
Yeah.
By the Angels, who went all in at the deadline and now are all out.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. But I do feel bad for this guy. But as long as he won the game, he came away with something. Is that at least a consolation prize?
Because he won the game?
Won the game.
Some game in August?
I mean, how many complete games are there anymore? That's an accomplishment in today's game.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that at the end of the year when we do our yearly roundup of all the big stories of 2023.
Ken Cobb's complete game.
Ken Cobb's complete game on August 29th. Samter, mark that down, okay? Don't forget it.
Yeah.
Are we doing a top yeah.
Bill Smith, was that his name?
We're doing a top 10,000 moments of the year 2023. We're starting tomorrow.
And that ranks as 10,000.
By the way, okay, you laugh, but if he had completed this no-hitter, you think that was making any list of greatest?
It leaves me in the top 100. Pitcher throws complete game is not making it into our end of the year countdown.
1, 2. This would have been the fifth no-hitter of 2023, and nobody cares about any of them. I'm sorry, it's just the facts these days. There were 3. Oh, yeah. You know what it is, too, because now there's tons of combined no-hitters. There's nothing lamer.
Well, I don't do
Nothing lamer. A combined no-hitter, is that even a no-hitter? What is it?
There are people who are staunch about that somehow it's harder because, like, everyone has to be on their game. I totally disagree. Going through the lineup multiple times, everyone who knows anything about baseball knows it becomes harder and harder for the pitcher. The more times you go through the lineup, the batters have seen you now. They're catching up to you, or they're catching on to what you're doing. So much harder to do the single game no-hitter than the combined no-hitter. Boo.
But do you still call it a no-hitter? No.
Me personally?
Yeah.
Big fat no. Good game, guys.
Even when the New York Mets got one with Tyler McGill, Drew Smith, Joely Rodriguez, Seth Lugo, and Edwin Diaz, that's 5 guys.
Seth Lugo?
Yeah, 5 guys. He went a third of an inning.
Yeah, how could I forget that amazing day? Coming up, the NFL preseason debate series continues.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
I think the whole industry and everybody who says that they're good at tasting wine is lying. I think it's the biggest mass lie.
It's all perpetrated by big wine.
In the history of mankind, there's no bigger lie than people can tell which wine is good.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I love people who are like, I'm just tasting and spitting out and like, I'm not here to get loaded. Get out of here.
Wineries are the scenes of so many crimes. People get sloppy at wineries, like dress over your head type stuff. Once my husband and I, we were still dating, went to wine country, but took bikes.
I just had this image of you following your husband on a bike, just veering off slowly into the right, tipping over, and just like Maggie's asleep on the sidewalk.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Joe Burrow back at practice today. Big exhale from all the Cincinnati Bengal fans out there. Hey, welcome to Maggie and Perloff. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. So Burrow back out on the field. Presumably the calf is good enough now. There's no way they'd put him, in any kind of harm's way. That'd be crazy.
Remember a few days ago I said the Steelers have to be considered a Super Bowl contender? In my calculus was a little bit of a Joe Burrow injury. And I still think it's there. I mean, we saw him limping on one leg at the end of July. That's the kind of injury that can come back at any time. Feels like Burrow, the way he plays, does risk injury. He holds on to the ball. He's not afraid to run at all. He's not afraid of contact. So I just have a little bit of nerves. I'm, looking at Super Bowl picks. Am I going to pick the Bengals? I'd feel a little nervous about Joe Burrow's health.
I think that you've already staked your claim in the AFC North, though. You're saying Steelers, right?
No.
Okay, no.
No, but I got
misheard you.
I'm telling you, if you were looking at Super Bowl contenders, the AFC has about 11 of them. But you got it. You have to consider the Steelers. I'm not saying I'm done on that one, but yeah, it's a problem because I have about 8 Super Bowl worthy teams in the AFC. Don't you? Must have the same problem.
Absolutely. I mean, AFC stacked. So here's the question, I think, really for the Bengals. So Burrow back at practice with, what do we have? 8 days until the season. 7, whatever. 8 days before the season starts. It's plenty of time for him to get up to speed. So if he is fully raring, ready to go, I mean, how important is it for the Cincinnati Bengals to get off to a good start? Because, frankly, that's not really the MO of the Bengals. The book on the Bengals, Perloff, for the last couple years has been not getting off to really fast starts, coming on in the second half of the season behind the offense being amazing, and Lou Anarumo, their defensive coordinator, just the mastermind wizard as the season goes on. He just picks apart these offenses when they get a lot of stuff on film. He's great at halftime adjustments, all that stuff. So that's kind of what their bread and butter has been. Is it important for them to get off to a fast start this year? Because as you said, there's like 11 Super Bowl contenders in the AFC.
Actually, look at their schedule. Do you have it in front of you?
I do.
It is not important at all.
They start with 2 divisional games at Cleveland and then home for Baltimore.
Drop those and go 0-2, and then it's easy street. They got Los Angeles Rams,
who are tanking.
Tennessee,
sneaky tank.
Arizona, full tank.
The process.
Seattle, really good, but in Cincinnati.
Yes.
That's a hard win.
And a 1 o'clock game.
They could easily drop those first 2 and be 4-2 going into the break. Then it gets a little harder. Then they have San Francisco and Buffalo. So you could see, it's funny. I looked at Warren Sharp, does strength of schedule. He's a football writer based on Vegas odds.
Yeah.
And he has Cincinnati as having a really easy, for a playoff team, has one of the easier strength of schedules. So they have, it's an easy street after those 2 games.
See, I wouldn't necessarily call this schedule easy. Now, you're right.
Run is, though.
You get a couple teams that we think are not going to be very competitive, which is the Los Angeles Rams. I'm not sure about the Titans. Other people think they're going to jury's out on the Titans. Arizona, which is not going to be very good. We don't think Houston's going to be very good. But beyond that, you actually have, you play San Francisco, you play Buffalo. Of course, you play your own division, so that's Baltimore, it's Pittsburgh, it's Cleveland. You play Jacksonville, you play Indianapolis, you play Kansas City.
Yeah, you play Indianapolis at home.
I know, Indianapolis. Okay, sorry. They should have been in the teams that's not doing much. But Minnesota, I mean.
Yeah, that's a team that everyone's so down on this year.
I know, and that might be a mistake.
On the road, at home. Yeah, but generally, you got to admit, for a team that was in the AFC title game, this could be a lot worse.
It could be worse. And especially the first part is easy. And that's why I think there's kind of no excuses to stack a few wins here in the beginning.
I mean, why would you have any confidence for your Bills going to Cincinnati in November 5th? The Bills can't beat Cincinnati, maybe they have beat them, in the regular season.
No, well, since the Burrow and Josh Allen have been, quarterbacking their teams, no. That was the first time they were going to meet, was the Damar Hamlin game.
Oh, right, and it got canceled. Then Cincinnati killed them in the playoffs. So I don't think Cincinnati's scared of anyone here. Maybe at San Francisco, but generally, I think they do another slow start, and I think they're there at the end. I mean, you said it. Those reasons, it got me excited. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, Lou Anarumo is going to figure it out, and they're going to be, they're going to win 11 games and be brutal in the playoffs. I am just so worried about that calf with Joe Burrow because it always feels like he's been flirting with something. Then again, Mahomes was hurt all the last month of the season, and they were actually Jalen Hurts and Mahomes were both injured last year, and both figured it out by the Super Bowl. So
Joe Burrow's backup quarterback.
So it was Brandon Allen, right? And now he's in San Francisco. Oh, I know this one. Hold on. We did this. I think we did this. Don't give it to me.
Okay.
It's not Trevor Siemian because he just got cut. It's not Driscoll. He's long gone. It's not Brandon Allen. Oh, it's a Trevor Siemian clone. Oh, wait. Don't tell me. Go on to another topic. Let's talk about something. I'm going to get this.
Wait. Okay. Another topic.
Give me a hint.
Washington?
Taylor Heineke? No. He's somewhere else. Washington University? I mean, University of Washington?
Is that where he played? Yeah. I thought that's where he played,
he was
right?
thinking Commanders when you said Washington.
Oh, no, sorry. Huskies.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Todd Bowman? University of Washington.
I'll also give you a hint. His last name involves a color.
I'm blanking. Who is it?
Jake Browning.
Oh. Yeah.
Right. So and the only reason I brought that up was not to
remember the 2016 Pac-12 Player of the Year?
It wasn't to stump you. That's not why I brought that up. I was just bringing it up because it's not like they have a real high-end backup here, you know? It's Jake Browning, no offense to him. But if Joe Burrow has this nagging injury, or if it does come back to bite him, that could be tough.
By the way, I totally just got Todd Bauman and Jake Browning totally confused. Todd Bauman graduated from 1997.
Yeah.
Yeah. Todd Bauman, Jake Browning. Who is the guy who led Washington to the Final Four that one year? Is it Jake Browning?
Was it Jake Browning?
It must be.
It might have been.
Yes, that's their backup quarterback? How is that their backup quarterback?
Well, that's what I'm saying. This thing is a little bit dicey, and we've been talking about backup quarterbacks because can become a thing. And especially in New England with the Patriots and what they're pulling now, which is they waived Bailey Zappi yesterday and put him cleared waivers, yes? And now he's going to be on the practice squad?
Right, which means any team can sign him from around the league. This is a guy who was picked in the 4th round last year. He's not a nobody. He was one of the all-time leading passers in college football history. I mean, that's kind of a high pick for a backup quarterback. How are they so sure no one's going to claim him?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I would be a little concerned about that. Chris Sims was on the Dan Patrick Show earlier today, and he was talking about this unique situation with the Patriots. Let's hear it.
In my heart of hearts, right? And, I know some people connected to the situation, and nobody knows definitively. But I would say it's this year or next year or the last year for Bill Belichick. Not only people that know him and connected to him, just other things I've heard as well. I think we're going that direction.
Wow. I mean, talking about Belichick there, and this has been a head-scratching move. Now, listen, maybe Belichick's playing chess here, and we're all playing checkers. Like, they're doing some roster craziness and getting guys on the roster, and everything's going to be fine, and they're just going to sign Zappi. But to your point, you really expose him by being, on the practice squad. And if someone wanted to come in and swoop in and take him. Now, here's the thing about the practice squad. If you're going to sign somebody off of someone else's practice squad, they have to make your team. They have to be on the 53-man roster. So you can't just take them and stash them on your practice squad or something like that to just try to screw over the Patriots.
Yeah, so if I was playing the Patriots in week 1, I don't know who they have in week 1, I would sign that guy just to, first of all, it's the old trick. You learn the Patriots playbook. Yeah. Find out what they're going on. I mean, Belichick must have thought about that. Do you have who the Patriots play in week 1?
I think they play the Dolphins.
Yeah, so... it's the Eagles.
No.
It's the Eagles. It's Tom Brady game.
It's the Tom Brady game.
They're not going to sign him, but it is vulnerable. Like we see that all the time where teams sign the backup quarterback from before to find out strategy. What a weird situation. And the other thing too is like if not him, then who? Like you can't go in with just Mac Jones.
No, that doesn't make any sense. And it's funny because just when we thought things sort of were starting, like. The Patriots had some head-scratching things they did last year, most notably with the offensive coordinators not naming an offensive having Matt Patricia be the offensive coordinator with Joe Judge. So, all right, this year they're rectifying things. They've got Bill O'Brien in there. They're done with all these crazy head-scratching moves. And now this comes out. And it's like, what is going on up there? And then you hear Chris Sims saying he thinks, and he's talking to people in New England, and that this year or next year could be Belichick's last year.
Unbelievable. It seems like there's just a growing consensus among people who cover the Patriots that this hot seat is really hot.
Yeah.
I am not seeing a lot of people who expect the Patriots to challenge for the Super Bowl. Some people have them as playoff teams. I think there was one. Did Connor Orr predict the Patriots? Our former
Sports Illustrated said they were going to win the AFC East.
Wow, that's wild to me. Yeah, I feel like they're going to be a 500 team, and then there's going to be a real decision about what's the upside here. And, our guy, Tom Curran, who's covered the Patriots for a long time, really knows the situation, said that Bill Belichick's been on the hot seat ever since Brady left. So I tend to think that there's definitely something here. Like, they're going to look at it and say, where are we going here? Like, how many years can we hover around 500? Even a wild card entry doesn't feel like they're really building enough momentum towards another championship.
This backup quarterback situation, you guys could be like, why are they talking about the backup quarterbacks? How many quarterbacks did we see play last year?
Yeah, by week 16, you see half the league as backups.
Yeah, it's like it's
not to mention
crazy.
Mac Jones is your starter.
Well,
what do we know about Mac Jones?
I mean, that I'm not so worried about, but he missed 2 games last year, and Bailey Zappi came in and won those games, but, like, it's not like he's been the picture and pillar of health.
You're not worried about Mac Jones' performance?
Well, I think they're going to make it pretty easy. I think they're going to run the ball a lot with Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah, but I mean, at a certain point in that division, too, with Aaron Rodgers and Miami and the Bills, you're going to need to score a lot of points. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's why you do run the ball. This just feels like a potential mess. Ezekiel Elliott, not a super fan of his running style anymore.
So you got that situation going on in New England. Of course, you've got the Bengals situation going on where now we're suddenly all alarmed about the backup quarterback situation in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Now that we know who it is.
This week, the backup quarterbacks is the theme. Trey Lance.
Trey Lance is third string.
It's always interesting.
You're one snap away.
That's why I'm Mr. Backup Quarterback.
I know. You've done a good job there. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, coming up, we do have some major news here regarding one of the biggest college football games of the weekend. So we'll get to that in just a moment. Again, some breaking news coming out about one of the biggest college football games of the weekend. So we'll get to that in just a moment. It's Maggie and Perloff. Hey, if you ever miss any part of the show, you can always download the Maggie and Perloff podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. If you could rate, review, give us a 5-star, we'd be so appreciative. It helps us do what we want to do around here. Also, if you want to watch the show, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. Of course, we're on our incredible CBS Sports Radio affiliates, who we adore. The absolutely free Odyssey app is there for you to download, and SiriusXM channel 158. Okay, coming up, we'll give you that breaking news coming from college football. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. Remaining. "45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Sitcoms today.
Saved by the Bell.
Meanwhile, this was one of our big debates. Remember back in the summer we did our Great Debate series, which was a massive hit. We did biggest TV rivalries.
Right.
And Seinfeld versus Friends was mine. You did Letterman versus Leno.
Mm-hmm.
We also talked about food and beverage rivalries, and I did Coke versus Pepsi, and you did Pizza Hut versus Domino's or something?
No, I did, I think, Bud Light versus Miller Lite.
Bud Light versus Miller Lite, something like that. There's now a documentary on Netflix about the Cola Wars, about Coke and Pepsi, but specifically about a campaign in the 90s about if you got a bunch of Pepsi points, you would win a Harrier jet.
Yeah.
I'm 2 episodes in. First of all, it does not need to be 4 episodes. Can we just stop that? Please, just make it an hour and make it an hour and 15 minutes.
There's a whole
4
show.
Episodes.
There's a whole show on the History Channel called Food Rivalries.
Yeah.
And I've seen every one. There's Jif versus Skippy.
Yeah.
Peanut butter. That was a war. There was Mars.
You wouldn't believe bodies everywhere, guys. Jif versus Skippy.
Mars versus Hershey battled on for 6 decades. Because you think about these iconic brands, once you get a foothold, you are the brand. So Pepsi and Coke. But by the way, Coke is killing Pepsi now, right? Isn't that the...
I think so.
I can't remember.
Coke is killing Pepsi, but I think Pepsi has a bigger portfolio with everything than Coke. I don't know.
AI is going to take over this whole industry anyway. That's what they say.
It's time to answer our Ask the Pros question today, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Today's question comes from Max in Jacksonville. Would you ever cut your son or daughter from a team if you were the coach? You can submit a question by tweeting at CBS Sports Radio or at Maggie and Pearl using the hashtag #AskThePros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Well, I'd like to say I would, but I wouldn't. Doug Peterson, the head coach of the Jaguars, cut his own son, who's a wide receiver who was just playing in, I think, the USFL.
Yeah, but here's the thing. He was barely even playing in the USFL.
All right.
So this was a charity to have him on the roster.
Yeah, and then cutting him.
So it wasn't a disservice. You could cut him because you just had him there to build his resume and give him a camp.
Right. So the nepotism got him in the door, but didn't get him on the roster.
No. This was not tough love or anything. Because
do you think he knew he was getting cut?
Yes, definitely. Because he couldn't even play in the USFL. How's he going to make an NFL roster?
Well, your dad's the coach. I mean, how many times do we see nepotism on coaching trees all over the NFL?
Yeah, coaching trees and college teams.
Yep.
But you can't do that in the NFL. You can't have your son as the 13th man on the bench.
I mean, I've seen people do crazier. It's not, I'm trying to think Belichick keeps his son on the coaching staff.
The coaching staff, anybody can be on the coaching staff. What's the difference?
I think his son was like the co-defensive coordinator.
Yeah, no, that one is a pretty controversial one because a lot of people think his son does not have what it takes. But Josh Peterson will probably be a coach in 2 weeks anyway. Anybody can be on the coaching staff. You can't give him a roster spot.
Do you think this would fly like in high school football or something like that?
No, you have to have your son. But do you think that Doug Peterson's wife, or I don't know if it's current wife who has this, do you think she's like, Doug, what are you doing? I just got a call from Josh. You cut him? You cut our son?
Wait, didn't Doc Rivers traded his son-in-law? Doc Rivers is a coach and traded Seth Curry is his son-in-law, right?
Did Doc Rivers trade
he traded his own son. What am I talking
traded
about?
Austin.
He's traded Austin Rivers. And then he's traded away his own flesh and blood and then also traded away his son-in-law.
Yeah, that's cold.
Oof. Burr.
I know as a fact I will not have a professional athlete in my family, nor do I coach, so this will not be a problem.
No, I'm not going to encounter this one either.
But I think you and I are such softies, we would try and convince the team to keep him for some reason.
It's like a car salesman. It's like, what do I have to do to make sure my kid makes this team today?
You know, it's funny. A lot of people reacted the same way about this. That people did not know Doug Peterson had a son who was a tight end wide receiver. I did not know this.
No, I didn't either.
I've never heard of him. Went to UL Monroe.
It only becomes a headline when you cut the guy. All right, let's get to our preseason debate series.
NFL preseason debates countdown. 8 days.
8 days until the NFL season. Perloff, today's debate, is Dak Prescott on the hot seat?
No. Well, if he's terrible, he's in trouble. But he's not going to be terrible. And I think Jerry Jones, he might be talking a little tough this offseason, but I think he's a big softy. And I think Dak's going to put up good stats, and he's going to pay that man.
Yeah, I think he is a bit on the hot seat, more than ever. I mean, listen, Trey Lance, I think the trading for him, the Cowboys say it's not a message. I mean, it's not nothing. I don't think it's, hey, Trey Lance is going to take over your job week 8. But I do think they brought him in the building for a reason. They're taking a flyer on him. Now, whether Lance can actually develop and whether he can actually be a starter in the NFL, who knows? That's up to him. But I do think there was a bit of a message there, and I don't think it was so much for contract negotiations and leverage in that way because Dak's already stood up to Jerry Jones in those negotiations before. I think it was more just a message like, we had no options besides Dak Prescott. Now, maybe we have an option.
Yeah, I think it's just a negotiation ploy, though. I do think they're going to set up everything for success this year. Big problem last year, interceptions. Mike McCarthy's smart enough. He is not going to put Dak in a position to throw an interception. It's going to be screen passes. He's going to be throwing to, part of the problem was everyone knew the only good target last year was CeeDee Lamb. Now you have Brandon Cooks and a healthier Michael Gallup. So he has options. I don't think it's going to be as easy to defend the Cowboys. Don't you see like McCarthy just play calling specifically to not have interceptions?
Yeah, but I don't think Kellen Moore was like play calling to foster interceptions. I
think he was more aggressive.
They were. I mean, yeah, I guess the play calling at times could have been a little wonky. But I also do think that Dak was getting aggressive, and also his receivers were letting him down. The receivers could still let him down this year.
They're way better. Way better. I mean, Brandon Cooks is a pro.
Yeah, but
last year it was Noah Brown, and it was a bunch of nobodies.
What if you don't have Brandon Cooks for 17 games? This is a guy who has been injured a lot. There's a reason he's available often.
Remember, Michael Gallup is still, he'll be himself again, and Jalen Tolbert's a huge camp standout. Yeah, I think they're excited. I think the bigger problem is the depth at running back because Tony Pollard's coming off an injury, and they have Rico Dowdle and Deuce Vaughn.
Well, we love our guy Deuce.
Yeah, but Deuce is a third down guy. Yeah. He's not going to carry it every time. I just think they're going to say, Dak, if it's 3rd and 9 and you could throw a 50-50 ball, I don't care. Just throw it out of bounds because
you're not going to win a lot of football games that way.
But I think Mike McCarthy's. I want to show Jerry Jones that we can fix your interceptions. Yeah, I know what you're saying. You're not going to win football games. Honestly, I think this is a real priority, and they'll probably go too far to avoid interceptions.
The last thing you really want especially when you got all this pressure on the organization, like there always is, to get back to at least the NFC Championship game. Hell, I mean, they talk Super Bowl all the time, but the last thing you want is this to be like in everyone's head. Like, you make the interception such a big deal. Everyone's going to be thinking about the interceptions. Like, you just got to call the offense. You can't just be calling it tailor-made to try to make Dak's stats look good and not put him in a vulnerable situation. He's a top 10 quarterback in the league.
I know exactly. I know you're saying that, and that sounds good, and in theory is the way it should be.
You can't play scared.
I think they are going to play so scared this year. They have to bring that number down. First of all, there's a strategic reason to bring it down, too. It's not. That's the one thing that really hurt them last year. I think they can win. This defense is elite with Dan Quinn. They're just totally loaded. So they're going to say, Dak, play under control. You do not need a touchdown on every drive. We will win this game. Just let Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, and those guys win the game for you. No, I do think that they're going to say throw the ball away when in doubt.
Okay, but, you didn't give him the contract extension yet. So now you don't think he's going to want to put up the best numbers he's had just to show, hey, like, I'm still worth $50 million a year or whatever?
Well, there's so much focus on his interceptions. Even that mistaken quote where he said, I'm going to throw 10 or less. What did that turn out to be?
It was not. That wasn't actually the quote. It was It was
tips, not 10.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to throw less tips.
Less tipped interceptions. Less tipped passes, not 10 interceptions. Okay, you're welcome to weigh in on the Cowboys, 855-212-4CBS. I mentioned before some breaking news when it comes to one of the big college football games of the weekend, and that is, according to ESPN, Cam Rising, the star quarterback for Utah, not expected to play in their opener on Thursday night against the Florida Gators. Rising, of course, hurt his knee tore his ACL in the Rose Bowl against Penn State. And I guess this was a little bit more of a long shot internally for him to play week one than they were putting out in the public. So Bryson Barnes is the junior. He's expected to start on Thursday night against the Gators, and they're going to have Nate Johnson, who I guess is according to this article, a dynamic redshirt freshman who's expected to also see snaps in a change of pace role.
So I happened to look at the spread of this game this morning. It was Utah minus 6.5. Now it's down to Utah minus 4.5.
Yeah.
Because there must have been a hunch that Cam Rising wasn't going to be there. But that's an immediate turn. Florida is not, I don't think people are expecting too much out of Florida. Obviously, they just lost Anthony Richardson, and Graham Mertz is a bit of an unknown. Billy Napier, as a matter of fact, is a bit of an unknown. So it's in Utah, right? They can survive this with not having Cam Rising. Don't you feel like, I think they're going to dodge a bullet because they get a little bit of a down Florida at home?
Maybe, but it doesn't get much easier because they play Baylor week 2.
Where's that game?
At Baylor. So, this is not going to be easy, and this is a Utah team that's coming off of back-to-back 10-win seasons. There's a lot of expectations here.
Yeah, I mean, they'll still beat USC twice. That's all. It's really disappointing. I love Cam Rising. It's a shame, but nothing you can do.
There you go. So a little breaking news for you. That's the game on Thursday night, and then you get the big Sunday game. That's going to be Florida State and LSU. Cannot wait for that.
Oh, yeah.
After last year's game, that had
great.
4 plays in it that were so improbable that I can't wait for the rematch.
Oh, yeah. This is a little more robust of a week. I'm pretty psyched for Clemson Duke, too. I think that's Monday night of Labor Day weekend. That's going to be great. So get some real football. I hate week 0 because it's pretend football. There's a couple of games. It whets your appetite, but it's not really satisfying.
So earlier in the show, Perloff and I were discussing who would be the team that could keep Georgia from a three-peat. I said Ohio State. Perloff said Alabama.
Yeah.
We both did not pick Clemson as a possible contender there.
Yeah.
Are we overlooking the Tigers?
I feel like the reason I didn't do it is just in my mind where Clemson is right now in modern college football. Clemson's not going there. Dabo is not mining the transfer portal the way he should. So remember when Deshaun Watson was there, Trevor Lawrence was there, there was 3 wide receivers who were going to the NFL. It hasn't been that way for a while. I like Kate Klubnik, but and I do like that ACC schedule, but I feel like Clemson the sport is passing by.
Well, how about bringing in Garrett Riley as the offensive coordinator, Lincoln Riley's brother and the former OC of TCU? last year.
He's great.
I mean, that was a pretty big move in terms of going outside the program, which they're, don't generally do.
But do you remember when Trevor Lawrence was there? It was like 5 first-round picks everywhere. It feels like Clemson doesn't do that anymore. I mean, it's been 3 years, but, I mean, look at the teams that won the titles. The whole depth chart was pro. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't feel that way this year. And so Florida State is the favorite in the ACC right now?
In Florida State, I mean, again, this is going to be awesome, but they have, obviously, their quarterback coming back in Jordan Travis. They've got Jared Verse as probably going to be right now projected, top 10 pick in the NFL next year as a defensive end?
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting. It feels like a very unpredictable year, by the way. Other than Georgia, we were trying to pick this team. It doesn't feel like, I don't know, maybe it's unpredictable every year. It doesn't feel like a lot of sure things.
It's like Georgia and then maybe of the next 4, which is like Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama,
USC,
LSU, Penn State. A lot of people in the chat upset that we did not pick Penn State.
Yeah,
as
our good friend Andy Staples picked Penn State today.
Is that right?
Yeah, which makes me nervous because I want to be on that bandwagon if they're going to be good.
Well, I'll make a prediction. I'm sure at some point Perloff is going to come in wearing a Penn State sweatshirt and hat and claiming that he has been on the Penn State bandwagon this whole time. Claiming Penn State's been his team forever, guys.
I was talking to our. What's that?
There's no. I mean, that's too obvious. There's no chance he's going to pull it off.
Oh, that's a Perloff move.
I grew up watching Penn State. It's the local team in Philadelphia, like it or not.
No way.
I have full claim.
Villanova's the local team in Philadelphia.
No, Division I college football.
All right.
Yeah, when I was growing up, they used to show the Penn State game on Sunday morning. They'd show a replay when Joe Pa's brother would be the announcer. It was great. So
funny. It's the first time you've mentioned it.
I was talking to Staples about this. There is a big issue with Penn State. They have this stud quarterback named Drew Aller.
Yeah.
Nobody can pronounce his name the same way twice. So you heard Drew Aller. Nobody knows how to pronounce his name. It's been all over the map. I listened to podcasts all morning. 5 different pronunciations.
Well, what's the right one?
I think it's Drew. What's the first one I said?
Aller.
I think it's Aller.
Yeah.
But a lot of people call him Alar because it's spelled like that. So this is an important issue. Andy agreed with me that it's the main obstacle.
That's the number one thing standing in the way of the Nittany Lions. It's not Michigan or Ohio State.
The other thing, too, is, I'm all in on Penn State, my local team, the team I grew up with.
I know. I love in basketball, though. It's like, I'm a North Carolina fan. Yeah.
Do I really trust James Franklin? It's not that easy. You have to admit. I mean, your initial instinct when I asked, do you trust James Franklin? No.
I looked off into this.
You looked
I looked off into the distance, and I was like,
It's just hard to really wrap my head around him delivering on the promise.
If you want to watch the show, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, where the chat, Rich Ackerman, is 100% behind you wearing that color shirt today. Many compliments.
Nice.
Powder blue, Carolina blue, whatever you want to call it. They think that's your color.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, your eyes look good.
There you go. Rich Ackerman.
I had no idea. It would make such an impact. It was the first clean thing today.
It was a lot. You got a lot of comments.
Okay, that's nice. I'm glad.
And that's our chat for you. The Weedos and the Purple Drinkers. I can't promise that they can all see straight, but it appears that they can sense color. So there you go. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. See you guys on the phones. We'll get to you. We promise right after this CBS Sports Update. Here's Rich.
Sports Flash.
Well, the Bengals can now go into the season with a clear mind with Joe Burrow back at practice today, his first since suffering a calf injury more than a month ago. Lots of afternoon baseball in the AL West. It is quite a battle, a 3-way tie. The Astros are red hot with 5 straight wins and looking to sweep the Red Sox today. They currently lead it 7-0 in the top of the 5th, while Seattle, after losing last night in Oakland and falling behind today 3-0 to the A's, they have come back with 3 in the 3rd, and it's tied at 3 now in the bottom half of the 5th. Teoscar Hernandez with his 23rd home run of the season. The Angels and Phillies played a wild one today, and Brandon Drury's home run put the Angels ahead for good as they knock off the Phillies by a score of 10-8. Trey Turner and Bryce Harper homered again for the Phils in the loss. It was Toronto blanking Washington 7-0. Also in 10, Cleveland defeated Minnesota 5-2. Baltimore falls to the White Sox 10-5. Milwaukee, losing in Chicago 3-2 to the Cubs. Bottom of the 7th, Cincinnati on top of San Francisco 2-1. And St. Louis with a 5-4 win over San Diego and a home run from Tommy Edman. I'm Rich Acker.
Hey, it's DA. Be sure to listen to CBS Sports Radio at home. Ask Alexa to play CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Step by step. Yeah. The roller coaster. Got it. Thank you, Carlos. This has been very fun, doing 90s sitcoms. Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff.
What's step by step? I feel so stupid here.
Step by step was Suzanne Summers.
Yes, Suzanne Summers.
And who was the Patrick Duffy? Thank you.
Good for you. I didn't even know that.
That was Samter feeding that in my ear.
I saw the show and I have no idea who Patrick Duffy was.
Patrick Duffy from Dallas?
He was the dad.
Yeah.
I don't know what else he was in.
He's from Dallas, right? Isn't that his...
I never watched Dallas, but...
Yeah, I don't think you were alive when Dallas was on. But Larry Hagman and Patrick Duffy.
He was Bobby Ewing, the brother of J.R. Ewing from Dallas.
So they had a show with Suzanne Summers?
Yeah, and I think that it was like blended family.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
He had 3 kids, she had 3 kids, and then they would live happily up thereafter under one roof.
Yeah.
So it sounds to me, like, based on what I'm learning about these shows, that all these shows stunk.
No, I mean, they didn't stink. Family Matters was a great show.
When I was a kid, I had Cheers and Family Ties and shows like that.
But this was Family Ties adjacent. This was like the exact same time period as Family Ties. And
oh, really? Family Ties was awesome.
A little later. Little tiny smudge.
Family Ties had Michael J. Fox. It was like the greatest show of all
Family
time.
Ties was a snore fest.
Oh, Carlos.
I slept through that entire thing. That's when I knew I needed to go out and do homework.
Oh, man.
When Family Ties came on.
Family Ties. Yeah, you know what it was, though? Anything on that block of shows got you so excited. Like Thursday night, eventually Seinfeld, Friends, Cheers, Family Ties, Night Court.
Dude, most of this was the TGIF block. Like that 2-hour block on ABC was gold.
That was the Family Matters.
That was Boy Meets World, which I couldn't find a cut long enough for that. I thought about putting that. That was an honorable mention.
Thank you. What was the one with the 2 cousins? One of the guys is like a really thick accent, and the other guy, he comes to live with his cousin in Chicago.
Balky?
Yeah,
Perfect Strangers?
Perfect Strangers. There you go.
So for the record, Family Ties was 82 to 89, Growing Pains was 85 to 92, and Step by Step was 91 to 98. So that was kind of the string of it.
You're right. Similar time, but yeah. I feel like Family Ties was earlier because you got a young Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was right behind Cheers.
Wasn't Mr. Belvedere in that block as well?
Saved by the Bell?
No, Mr. Belvedere.
Oh, Mr. Belvedere,
Bob
yes.
Uecker,
With Webster. Did he have Webster?
Yeah, Alex Karras and Bob Uecker.
I've done as much as I can.
That was from 85 to 90. That was more Growing Pains. I guess it was the same as Family Ties.
Was Webster? No, Webster was in Webster.
Yeah, right. I'm sorry. Webster wasn't Webster.
Wait,
Mr. Belvedere.
Had a kid, though, right? Maybe it was.
I was thinking Mr. Belding.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was Christopher Hewitt, Rob Stone, Eileen Graff.
Bob Uecker stole the show.
Yeah.
Have you guys, there's a great, Saturday Live skit where Adam Sandler goes, is in a 12-step program. He goes up and he dreams of being Mr. Belvedere. You have to see it. Somebody out there has seen this skit. It's really dark. I'll send it to you guys tonight. Sandler has a whole riff on what if Mr. Belvedere was a serial killer.
Oh, jeez. 855-212-4CBS. Michael is in Ohio. We've asked who will keep Georgia from a three-peat. I said Ohio State. Perloff said Alabama. Hey, Michael, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Hey, real quick, Perloff. Family Matters, Growing Pains, Boy Meets World, Full House. You need some catching up to do. Those are all good shows.
You know, I've seen them, but they're so cheesy. I think I was just too old for them. I've seen Full House and Fuller House.
With your kids, and the show starts out, and then there's a problem, but it all gets resolved by the end of the 30 minutes, and everybody's in love with each other, and everybody's happy.
I know, Michael, and that's TV 30 minutes. They're talking about 21 minutes of content right there.
Yeah,
exactly. Very good. Back to football. Maggie, you're 100% right. Ohio State is I'm thinking maybe close to the only team that can challenge them. And the reason why people are picking them is because obviously they have a new quarterback coming in. If they had this roster with these receivers, these running backs, and this defense with C.J. Stroud back, they'd be easily favored to win it all. But these two quarterbacks, and I think Kyle McCord is definitely going to he's going to take over the job for sure, even though he was named it. But Georgia didn't struggle with anybody last year except for Ohio State. They lost by 1 point because Ohio State missed the kick.
Yep.
They beat LSU by 20, I think, in the SEC championship game. And then I think the other closest game, they beat Tennessee by 14.
Yeah,
Like,
Mizzou had him on the ropes randomly. But, yeah, you're right. That was one of my points before, Michael, and I'm going to agree with you. I think Ohio State's going to be more battle-tested. You know, I'm assuming that's where you're going with this. Like, I think that they're going to be more battle-tested. They gave Georgia a great game in the college football playoff semifinal, and I really think that, listen, Ohio State's had a really amazing run here of quarterbacks, starting back with the late Dwayne Haskins, going to Justin Fields, and then going to C.J. Stroud. I don't think it's going to be that type of gangbusters production from the quarterback position, but you've got two good options here. McCord is going to be the starter, and if something happens with him, Devin Brown can step right in.
You know, though, I wonder if the committee is going to look at this. They're going to have to get to that Michigan game undefeated, and then they're going to have to win that Michigan game, because I don't think they're putting him in with one loss again. They gave him it sort of worked out their way last year. After they lost to Michigan, they probably should have been out of it. I mean, they were a weak number 4.
No, it broke their way when
I remember
USC lost to Utah.
They got Notre Dame, they got Penn State, and they got no, I'm sorry, they don't have Penn State. Oh yeah, they have Penn State in Ohio State. They have Wisconsin. I don't know. It's a lot of football for them to get to Georgia.
Before we get to the shot of the day, quickly, Ethan is in Harrisburg, PA. What's up, Ethan?
Hey guys, love the show. Thanks.
What do you have for us?
Well, I'm a Michigan fan, so you got an Ohio State fan on before that. Maggie, I think that you're wrong about that. They still have to come to Ann Arbor, and they still have to prove that they have a defense that can. I think Georgia didn't bully them as much last year.
Right.
But so I think it's Michigan. Two other things. I wanted to say I'm totally with you on your Buffalo Bills because I'm a Detroit Lions fan. And please, 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 media, stop talking about us.
Wait, why?
I just want to.
Yeah, you're a Lions fan. Why does that mean you're with the Bills? Just perennial don't win the Super Bowl teams?
No. Maggie hates hearing about the Bills.
Oh.
And I hate that too. It's like
the hype train.
Oh, okay.
Thankfully, Ethan, I don't have to do that this year because everyone has officially abandoned the Buffalo Bills bandwagon. I'm sorry, I got to let you go because we're up against it and we have to do our shot of the day, but thank you so much. Let's get to it.
He shoots!
And the shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos is brought to you by those who drink it. I just want to quickly, as people are getting ready for Labor Day and stuff like that, and you're getting your parties, just want to put this vision in your brain. A little Casamigos Blanco Tequila, a little fresh watermelon juice, a little lime juice, a couple mint leaves. They call it the Casa Refresher. You can find the recipe on Casamigos.com. So that's what I'll be doing over Labor Day. Earlier in the day, as we got to the snapshot of the show, Perloff coined a new term for Kyle Shanahan.
You know those serial daters who know girlfriend or boyfriend is good enough?
Yep.
Feels like they're going to get sick of Brock Purdy in a year or two.
So the 49ers are just the one friend that won't settle down?
Yeah. Kyle Shanahan is that guy.
Yeah.
I feel like there's going to be a fraternity of people who were burned by Kyle Shanahan. It's going to be Jimmy G, Trey Lance. It's probably going to be Sam Darnold in a year or two. He's going to be like, this guy told me I was going to be the next Steve Young and didn't even play me.
He never called me again.
He'll probably get sick of Brock Purdy.
Yeah, the NFL's littered with 49ers ex-quarterbacks.
So people are sleeping on the fact that Kyle Shanahan is a quarterback playboy. He's just out there breaking hearts.
The Leonardo DiCaprio of NFL coaches. I think you're onto something here, Perloff.
Yeah.
Shanahan, just the serial dater.
Yeah, I mean, he had eyes for Mac Jones in the draft. He's just, I I didn't even catch your Leonardo DiCaprio comparison at first. Yes. Except, though, I'm not sure Kyle Shanahan
He gets older. They keep staying the same age.
Yeah.
That was a little more Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, I also think that he's not bringing in supermodel quarterbacks. He's sort of bringing in a whole slew of guys. I mean, Sam Darnold, the love he has for Sam Darnold, I don't
the mind
understand.
games he played with Garoppolo, not cool.
I don't think that he's going to be able to sustain having one quarterback for 7 years. That's what you're supposed to do in the NFL. I'm not saying that it won't work, but it feels like he's going to keep on churning through guys.
I mean, their own fault, right? I mean,
fault, or like, what are you blaming them for? They've gotten pretty good quarterback play.
They have, but the Trey Lance thing was a big mistake, clearly, because they couldn't develop him. They couldn't, they were a win-now team that drafted a guy who was a total project. Meanwhile, there's reports coming out just on the other side of the ball that the 49ers are going to get something done with Nick Bosa. I don't know when, but you got 8 days.
That's why I think that everyone ripping the Niners for giving up those draft picks to trade up for Trey Lance is a little overrated, because they would have eventually had to pay those draft picks. There's just too many good players to pay already. They didn't need top 10 picks. I mean, they have so much talent. They can't pay everybody.
I know, but that's a weird justification. It's like, good thing we whiffed on all those high draft picks, or else we'd really have a salary cap issue on our hands. Like, you already do.
But they actually didn't even whiff on them. They gave them away.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about Solomon Thomas, and there's been a couple other guys who.
Right, but I mean, they've kind of hit pretty good on the draft. My point is, like, they made this gigantic mistake with Trey Lance, and guess what? They're still a Super Bowl contender.
That's the credit to them.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't really end up killing the franchise. I mean, I know it was as dumb a move as you're going to have, but they're just fine, I think.
We'll figure out, and we'll see a little bit more of, what's happening with Joe Burrow. Again, out on the practice field today, so that's a great sign for the Bengals and, for football fans. And yet still no contract. And hopefully that calf holds up.
We need to settle this bet. We need the Joe Burrow bet to be settled. Can you call whoever
Sandra can get on that?
Duke Tobin and the Bengals? Say, come on, the Maggie and Perloff show has a bet that we need settled before the season. How much is Joe Burrow going to make? Just tell us.
Yeah, just please let us know. So one of us has to eat the Skyline chili.
We'll keep it between ourselves.
Yeah.
We won't tell anybody.
Say a word. I'm sure they'll believe that. Okay. So that's it. We got no time for anything else. I'm like, can I fit in another topic? I can't do it.
You can't.
We're flat out.
Yeah, I think we learned a lot about 90s sitcoms here today. I feel like I missed out. Carlos, what do I go back and watch? If I want to go back on Netflix or something tonight, what's a show that I need to see?
Boy Meets World.
Oh, I saw every episode of Boy Meets World. It's
well,
awesome.
Then you're good.
Yeah.
Family Matters. Go back and watch
Is that Urkel?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I like Family Matters.
I think that your daughters will like it too.
Yeah. They watch a show with Zendaya called KC that's a Family Matters ripoff. They think it's hysterical.
Thank you to Mike Samter. Thank you to Carlos Ortiz. The Weedos, Purple Dracos. We'll see you tomorrow.
You're in a 5-minute break.